Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the Luffy Fanfics, back with Amazing Fanfiction. This is the series of What If Godlike Luffy Became Gamer Protagonist. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. The waves crashed onto solid land, again and again. It was so loud that I couldn't hear what Ace was saying unless I paid attention. I was trying to stay focused, really, I was, but I wasn't able to. Instead of saying goodbye properly, my eyes were strapped to the mystery square that was floating in front of me. It appeared out of nowhere. I think, was the mystery square already around this morning? Luffy, you okay? I shook my head, ignoring the mystery square for now. I'm fine, Ace. I'll catch up to you in no time, you hear? I could barely see his frown from where he was, down on his boat. He looked worried. You sure? You didn't eat anything you weren't supposed to, right? Geez, that guy. I stuck my tongue out at him, and he laughed. He waved at us, and my brother finally decided to leave, for real this time. I could see his dinghy getting smaller and smaller. Soon enough, Ace was gone. I bit my upper lip. He might have gotten a head start, but I swear I won't let him leave me in the dust. Ding! I felt my eyes just about pop out of my head. What the heck was that? I whipped my head around to try to see where that noise came from, but no luck. Not only that, but Makino and the mayor were giving me weird looks now, too. It took me a little longer to notice, but the mystery square finally did something. Well, not really. Before, it was just a strange floating thing that said loading in the middle of it. But now, it said something different. I squinted. Status, inventory, quests, party. I frowned. It's one thing when the mystery square just has the one word, but isn't there just a little too much in front of me now? It's seriously distracting. When I went to bed that night, I was annoyed. Really, really annoyed. I wanted to train properly, damn it. Ace would get too far ahead otherwise. The problem was this stupid message that won't go away. How am I supposed to train if I can't see? No matter which way you put it, it was gibberish. Main menu. Was I supposed to order food or something? Was some sort of really fancy restaurant implanting their menu directly inside of my head? Oh ho. That sounded super cool, actually. But then, how about party? How can there be a party without any meat? Was there a party at the restaurant? Were they gonna have meat? I'm hungry now. Give me a break. I moaned, rolling over onto my side. Help me out here, stupid. Status tutorial. Quests tutorial. Party tutorial. Options and settings. It went and changed again. What's that? Seriously. What's with all these big words? Status. Ow. Again, the moment I said it, the square changed again. I didn't like this change at all. If the strange floating squares were annoying before, now they were actually blinding me. Instead of just one, I had a bunch of them squished next to each other, making it so that I couldn't see anything else at all. Status. Open this menu with the voice command. The status menu allows the player to see his current skills and attributes presented numerically. I don't know what any of that means. A TK, HP, whatever, who cares? I didn't bother reading the rest written beneath it, but I tried to look for anything that would help me make these stupid mystery squares go away. Dismiss this menu with the voice command. Dismiss. And just like that, it was all gone. I grinned. With no annoying mystery squares blocking my vision, I closed my eyes and fell asleep soundly. Standing on a pile of giant alligators, I couldn't stop my eyes from twitching. Hey, what's all this, then? It's been a week now, and I haven't been able to get any stronger at all. Was it because Ace was gone? I guess it'll be harder to train now that I don't have any good sparring partners anymore. These animals are a bunch of weaklings, but at least they're tasty. I shook my head. Aren't I forgetting the issue here? Chi, I spat to the side. A tiger pounced on me from behind, but I barely noticed. I grabbed it over my shoulder and slammed it into the ground as an afterthought. Ding, I froze. Level up. What the hell is that supposed to mean? I yelled, throwing my hands into the air out of frustration. I thought this stupid thing was gone. Why did it come back, all of a sudden? I kicked the tiger's corpse to relieve some stress. Instead of flopping over like I had expected, it was vaulted off the ground and crashed into a tree. I glared at my leg distrustfully. Something was fishy. Definitely fishy. Your status has been updated. Use the voice command to see these changes. I stared at the annoying square and waited. It was gone again. Thank goodness. Back to training. A new quest is now available. A training montage fit for a pirate king. Complete the dungeon to advance the story. Unlocks. Completion rewards, plus bonus rewards. Time limit. 2Y, 364D, 23H, 59M, 58S. Begin now. Yes, no. Maybe Ace was right and I did eat something strange today. There's no way I'm going to agree to something so suspicious. I don't have time for you right now. I yelled at the mystery squares. I crossed my arms in front of me in an X shape. BZZZT. Duh. The quest is a mandatory quest. Please accept the quest to continue the story. To CH. As if I'd listened to you. X. Are you alright, Luffy? You seem tired. My head hurts. I dragged my head up from Makino's bar, which I had been using as a pillow, to look her in the eyes. Sorry, Makino. She didn't say anything else, but she started to give me a funny look. It was a strange time of day. Pretty late, but not late enough for the adults to come for drinks, so she and I were the only people here. But seriously, I was tired, whether my eyes were opened or closed. All I could see was that stupid mystery square. It wouldn't even go away when I said dismiss. I wasn't able to sleep last night because of it. Gosh, I needed a drink. Hey, can I have a glass of juice? You can put it on my treasure tab. She laughed at me and stepped away from the counter. Of course, just give me a second. I think I have something you'd like back here. For a moment, I was alone at the bar. Begin now. Yes, no. I clicked my tongue. Darn it. You better leave alone after this. Yes, I accept. Begin now. Are you happy? My vision went white. I blinked. I was in a strange room. Did I pass out? Did Makino carry me somewhere? I don't recognize this place at all. Everything around me looked so fancy. But it was definitely a different kind of fancy from the nobles from Goa. The walls were made of a decorated paper, and instead of planks of wood nailed together like Makino's bar, the floor here looked extra smooth and shiny. The pressure washed over me. Skill created. LV1 has been added to your skill page. Who are you, and what are you doing in my room? I turned around and noticed the big club pointed at my face. It was held by a tall person wearing a strange mask. For whatever reason, they had chain cuffs around their wrists. You're really tall. The club hit me in the side of my face faster than I could react. Has reduced blunt damage by 100%. HP, 3880 over 3880. Ouch, I shouted out of habit. My body bounced off the floor and I grunted. You don't even have a scratch on you. The crazy giant person was staring at me with a tilted head. I glared right back. Skill created. LV1 has been added to your skill page. Yamato, HP, HM. Yamato, what's that? Some sort of food? Tall guy lowered the club and asked again. What do you think you'll accomplish here? Are you trying to slay me? My father. I scrunched my nose. I don't even know who you are, tall guy. Say, have you seen a paduga anywhere? A pagoda, you mean? Yeah, that. Tall guy looked uncomfortable for some reason. You're currently inside of one. My chamber is on the top floor of the tallest pagoda on Onigashima. Lucky. I nodded. Thanks. I just need to get to the bottom, then. Tall guy scoffed. It won't be that easy, whoever you are. My father isn't so weak as to die to a boy. I shouted. Are you an idiot? Who are you calling an idiot? I already told you. I don't know who you are, and I don't know your father either. I'm just trying to get out of here. How did you get here in the first place? I laughed. Not a clue. Fishishi. HM. Tall guy crossed his arms. Whether you're here to kill my father or not. I'm not. I'd say escaping is impossible either way. What? I shouted. Why? If Makino notices that I've disappeared, she'll be worried. Makino is scary when she gets worried. Tall guy jingled his chain cuffs in front of me. Father has his beasts guarding each floor. They're ordered to kill anything that tries to get out of this room on sight. My eyes popped out of my head. Your dad's trying to kill you. He turned away. No, we just had another argument. I narrowed my eyes. If you say so. Sounds like you've got a shitty dad, though. Tall guy nodded. Well, anyway, I turned around and grabbed the door. See ya, tall guy. Thanks for the warning. You're still going, even after what I just told you. I nodded. Of course, I can't just stay here, now can I? Good luck then. I smiled and waved goodbye. Thanks. X. Stairs. I kept mumbling to myself while I looked for a way down to the next floor. Seriously. These hallways were way too big, and they all looked the same. Has activated. It's the same mystery square from earlier. I moved just in time to dodge something that came batting right for my face. I didn't have my pipe on me, so I readied my fists. It was a strange-looking wolf. It was big like the tigers back home, and it had horns sticking out from the front of its head. Ogre wolf. HP. 1335 over 1335. I pouted. The mystery square was trying to tell me something. I can feel it. That's it. You're the ogre wolf, right? It growled at me. So that means that all of those numbers must mean something too, right? It lunged at me, and I was almost caught off guard by how fast it was. I shot my leg backwards and let it stretch really far. Shishishi. Before it could touch me, I buried my foot in its chest. It wheezed and got sent flying into one of the walls, making the building tremble. Ogre wolf. HP. 857 over 1335. HM. The big number went down when I hit it, but the number next to its name didn't budge at all. Hold on. HP. I saw that before. When tall guy hit me. That other number didn't change one bit, though. The ogre wolf got up and charged again. You're annoying. I slammed my fist down on its head and it toppled over at my feet. Critical hit. Ogre Wolf. HP 0 divided by 1 335. Enemy defeated. Plus 267 EXP. So that's it. It loses when the bigger number drops to 0. I still didn't know what all that other stuff was, but could it be that the mystery squares were actually sort of useful? I was caught off guard. Another ogre wolf just like the first one bit into my arm. HP 3245 over 3880. I hissed and tried to push it off. Its jaw was deceptively strong. Let go. I wrapped my rubbery arm around its neck and squeezed. Ogre wolf. HP 1239 over 1335. And squeezed. Ogre wolf. HP 793 over 1335. And squeezed. Ogre wolf. HP 238 over 1335. Until I finally choked it out. Ogre wolf. HP 0 divided by 1 335. Enemy defeated. Plus 267 EXP. Giorarararar. Unfortunately for me, it had some more friends. 5 more that I could see. I laughed. Come at me, then. I was tired. I don't know if it was because I was sort of already tired before I came here, but I could definitely feel myself slowing down. The ogre wolves weren't super strong, but they weren't exactly weaklings either. After fighting what must have been close to 20 of them now, the big number that the mystery square had given me was almost halfway to 0. Do I seriously need to go through 100 floors of these things? It could be a little tricky if I did. Hopefully, there wouldn't be as many ogre wolves as I made my way down. Giorrar. Another one. It seemed to be alone. Luckily, I was starting to get a hang of these guys. When it lunged at me, it was easy to keep dodging and hitting it until I won. Level up. It happened again. This was the same message that I got a few days ago when my leg was feeling weird. I moved on, but I couldn't help but notice that it was much easier for me to move around. It was as if I wasn't hurt at all. Hold on, I don't see any scratches on my arm. I planted my feet. What was that one thing called, again? It had something to do with restaurants. Menu. I tried. Status. Inventory. Quests. Party. So I really could control the mystery squares by speaking to them. That first part, status, is supposed to tell me a bunch of stuff, right? Status, I commanded. Monkey D. Luffy LV18. EXP, 33 5162. HP, 4110 over 4110. WP, 659. ATK, 185. STA, 287. Wise, 27. AGI, 99. Luck. Will of D, significant boost to WP growth. Alters luck modifiers for this character. Rubber body, significant boost to HP, ATK, STA growth. Immune to electric damage. Immune to blunt damage. Abilities are not affected by this skill. LV max. Devil's mark, weak to attribute. Sense danger. This character can sense intent to harm. Observe. This character can see the status of people and objects. I nodded to myself. Yep, I didn't have any idea what any of this meant. The only clue I had was that the HP thingy was somehow connected to how hurt I was. Not only was it full, but the number was bigger than it was before, too. Was it because of the level up? I laughed again. Whatever. I carried on until I found it. Stairs. I wasn't able to go down just yet. Some strange guy with horns was standing in front of them. Hey, monster, can you let me through, please? Has activated. Has been located. Gate Ogre. HP. 22850 over 22850. HM. He had the same sort of club as tall guy. Has reduced blunt damage by 100%. He hit me in the head and sent me crashing into the wall behind me. I didn't want to get hit twice, so I rolled away before he could. That isn't very nice, you know. Cut it out. He wasn't listening at all. Gamu Gamu no. My arm shot back. Pistol. I think I was able to surprise the bastard a little bit. Even though I wasn't able to knock him down, he still grunted. Gate Ogre. HP. 21311 over 22850. Man, everything in this place is seriously tough. I can't believe somewhere like this was on Dawn Island this whole time. I gotta say, if I can keep fighting guys like this, maybe it won't be so bad without Ace after all. This guy was pretty slow, so I was able to get a few more hits in before he could react. Gate Ogre. HP. 2428 over 22850. Gate Ogre. HP. 19522 over 22850. Gate Ogre. HP. 18323 over 22850. Before I could land a kick in his face, he grabbed me out of the air. ROAAAR. With his free hand, he slammed his club against the floor. The tip shattered, giving what was left a pointy edge. My eyes widened. Hold on. Jerk. I spat out blood. The pointy end of the broken club was stabbed into my stomach. It went straight through me, but somehow I wasn't dead. Critical hit. HP 111 over 4 110. You are bleeding heavily. 10 HP divided by S. For a split second, I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I was shocked. Then the broken club came down on me again, and I was forced to do something. I had to, but I couldn't. I was stuck. Luckily, this guy didn't stab me again. He knocked the side of the club into my face. My neck stretched, and my head got sent flying way back. Hehe, gamu gamu no cane. I brought my head back as quickly as possible and made it overshoot my shoulders. I headbutted the monster guy as hard as I could. Gate Ogre, HP 16754 over 22850. It roared and threw me at the ground. My vision was getting kind of blurry, but I grinned. HP 101 over 4 110. Thanks to my rubber body, I was able to steady myself quickly. Gamu gamu no. I seriously needed to finish this as quickly as I could. Gatling, Gate Ogre, HP 14212 over 22850. My fist slammed into this guy's body over and over again. I hit as hard and fast as I could. I didn't want to give him any more openings. Gate Ogre, HP 10747 over 22850. It was strange. Usually, something like this was super tiring, but I didn't feel like I was slowing down at all. Gate Ogre, HP 7576 over 22850. Gate Ogre, HP 4111 over 22850. Gate Ogre, HP 2576 over 22850. His twitching hand grabbed me by the arm faster than I noticed him move. Slam. I was thrown onto the ground again. It didn't hurt, obviously, but I couldn't gather enough energy to move for some reason. HP 791 over 4 110. The monster was standing over me with his club raised. I wrapped my legs around his and tripped him. Gate Ogre, HP 13 divided by 22850. And stay down for good, I yelled. With whatever strength I had left, I forced myself to my feet. This time, I was the one standing over him. Gamu gamu no. I put a foot on his chest to keep him from moving too much, but also to help keep me steady. My arm stretched, twisting around itself over and over again. Rifle, my fist smacked the side of his jaw, and the monster's whole body cratered the floor. Gate Ogre, HP 0 divided by 22850. Enemy defeated. Plus 2402 EXP. The has been slain. Advance to the next level. HP 781 over 4 110. HP 771 over 4 110. I felt really strange, tired, but at the same time, not. HP 621 over 4 110. HP 611 over 4 110. HP 601 over 4 110. Oh yeah, I was bleeding a lot, wasn't I? I was stabbed right through the gut. HP 411 over 4 110. HP 401 over 4 110. HP 391 over 4 110. For whatever reason, it was easy for me to forget about that, and yet the hole was still there. HP 241 over 4 110. HP 231 over 4 110. HP 221 over 4 110. No two ways about it. It was an issue whether it bothered me or not. But even so, I couldn't let that stop me here. Even if I were to die. If I turned away from a challenge now, how could I ever hope to be the Pirate King? HP 21 over 4 110. HP 11 over 4 110. HP a quarter 110. To the next floor, I shouted. HP 0 divided by 4 110. The moment my foot touched the staircase, I whited out. Ugh, you have cleared levels of the 100th floor Demon Pagoda. Cooldown 1H, 13M, 34S. After a good night's sleep, your health has been fully restored. Seriously, this thing again. That was one hell of a strange dream. I sat up and stretched. Just to make sure, I patted my stomach. All there. Time to train, then. As I stepped out of the bandit's hut, I froze. How did I get back here again? I was at Makino's bar until... that must be it. I fell asleep, so she brought me back. I should drop by just in case she's upset. I shivered. I really hope she isn't upset. I hope you're ready to explain yourself, Luffy. I gulped. She was definitely upset. I wasn't pushing myself too hard again, I promise. I gave her a nervous smile. Sorry, Makino. I kind of fell asleep, but I'm totally fine. Thanks for carrying me back, though. Makino frowned at me. She looked confused for some reason. Carry you back? What are you talking about? I went to get you a glass of juice, but you disappeared. I had no clue where you had run off to. I was worried sick. I blinked. What? Could it be that it wasn't a? The 100th floor Demon Pagoda can now be attempted. You will now recommence the quest. Suddenly, just like the first time, I blanked out. I was staring up at a now familiar ceiling. Why am I here again? has activated. It's you. Tall guy lowered his club. I couldn't tell what face he was making because of his cool-looking mask. Hey there. I greeted him with a smile. Sorry, but I think I got lost again. Lost? Tall guy repeated slowly. It's been close to a day now. If you want to go down, you need to find the stairs. I pouted. Yeah, but that strange monster guy stabbed me. Somehow, I ended up back here. Tall guy scratched the side of his mask. What? I'm just as confused as you are. Chishishi. Well, he asked, are you going to try again? I hummed. MHM. You said that's the only way to get out of here, right? A nod. Yes, then that's what I gotta do. I propped my hands on my hips. Tall guy shifted. Is something wrong? I asked. It's just. He hesitated. To me, you're a stranger that's broken into my bedroom twice now. I could be leading you into a trap, you know. Maybe, I agreed. But somehow, you look like a dependable sort of guy. I'll trust you for now. Besides, that goes both ways. You're helping out a stranger after all. You have gained 100 bond points with Yamato. Your bond status with Yamato has changed from 2. Yamato, that name. I saw it somewhere before, right? Like the ogre wolves and the monster guy could it be? Hey, tall guy, what's your name? He didn't answer me for a moment. Standing a little taller, he shouted proudly, I am Kazuki Oden. Seriously? What the hell was a Yamato then? Too much. These mystery squares are kind of cool, but they're seriously too much for me. Thanks again, then, Oden. See ya. You have gained 100 bond points with Yamato. I let out a satisfied sigh. Gate Ogre. HP 0 divided by 22,850. Enemy defeated. Plus 2402 EXP. Level up. I gotta say, that was much easier than the first time. I knew what to expect, so I was able to get by with nothing more than a few bumps and bruises. That has been slain. Advance to the next level. I grinned. Man, 99 floors. This place is super big, huh? If Odin was serious about there being more of these beasts on every floor, then I'll have to try my best if I want to get by. How exciting. My stomach growled. I wonder if I could find a kitchen somewhere. I'm not letting you beat me this time, damn it. Cut it out, you stupid jerk. Boom. I had to jump out of the way of another fireball without letting my eyes move away from the ginormous black dragon that was trying to kill me. I learned a long time ago that losing track of this guy was a bad idea. It was pretty fast despite being so big, so if I wasn't careful, it could wipe out most of my life number things in one hit. Losing those was bad because I had to start from scratch whenever I ran out of them. That was extra bad. Another fireball came after the first, but I wasn't caught off guard. I had tried fighting this monster so many times that I pretty much knew all of its moves. When it shoots a fireball, a second one always follows 2 seconds later. When it swings its tail, it will always swing it in the opposite direction right after. When it changes directions, it always turns its head before the rest of its body. That was why, even though it was still a little stronger than me right now, I was able to get so far this time. Gamu Gamu no. It was open for an attack. Bazooka. It roared as the palms of my hands slammed the side of its head, but the dragon stopped making noise once it started falling to the ground. It crashed with a loud thump. The tremors shook the burning castle gate blocking the stairway. Come to think of it, having all this fire indoors was kind of bad, right? And how did they manage to build all this crazy big stuff in this tower? Anyway, I only started to notice it recently, but the way that the rooms and hallways looked was starting to get more and more ridiculous. The has been slain. I waited a moment to make sure that I was still alive. Then I dropped onto my butt with a relieved sigh. That took way too long, didn't it? How many tries did it take me to find this stupid staircase without being sent back to Fuchsia? Seriously, it was way too hard. The strange creatures on this floor were a whole bunch stronger than the ones on the floor above. I noticed that they've been getting a little tougher as I kept moving down, but this jump was pushing it, right? I shook my head. None of that matters anymore. I'm finally done. On to the next. HM. Notice, you have cleared a dungeon checkpoint. HM. Calculating player score. Time elapsed. 2060, 7H, 13S. Enemies defeated. 21,197. Deaths, 108. Level disparity bonus, 3,145. Rewards obtained. Rewards obtained. Rewards obtained. Rewards obtained. Rewards obtained. Rewards obtained. Hidden achievement has been unlocked. Is now in your inventory. The extra quest has been made available. Notice, is a quest. The main quest will be altered if commences. I glared at the mystery boxes with narrowed eyes, trying to make them go away with my mind powers. No one actually expected me to read all that, right? Stare. My shoulders dropped. I'm so glad. They all disappeared pretty quickly this time. I didn't want to waste my energy with those right now. This was the first time in a while that they appeared to give me anything other than those level up. Messages. Ding. Again. Notice. The dungeon's data has changed. Your expedition progress will be reset. Hold on. What was that supposed to him? X. I opened my eyes, already knowing where I was from the very second I saw the tidy wooden floor. I spoke before I had even pushed myself to my feet. Yo, Odin. I heard him hum. Luffy. Back already. Yeah. What's with that? MHM. I thought that I'd be able to make it farther this time, but no luck, I grumbled. None of this makes any sense. I made it through fair and square, you know. And this wasn't how it usually happened, either. Whenever I lost, I would usually wake up back in Fuchsia. From there, some time would go by before I appeared in Odin's room again. This time I came straight here. The tall guy sighed. Still totally lost. Huh? It's been nearly a month now. Even if no one has caught you yet, I'm baffled that you still managed to keep stumbling back here. You have no sense of direction. You know where down is, right? I made a face. Of course I do. Of course you do, Odin repeated. I understand that the pagoda can be a little confusing with how large it is. I can give you a tip that might help you navigate it. I blinked. Oh, Odin nodded. His posture was tense. It's the air. The air. He raised his palm. When you're indoors, the hot air in the room will rise. He had all my attention. I was nodding along. Odin's other palm was lowered. Naturally, that means that you'll find less hot air the further down you go. If you want to descend, you must find wherever's coolest. My jaw fell open. Odin, could it be that you're actually a genius? Don't be foolish, he shouted. It's a given that Kazuki Odin would know such trivial things. It's common sense. He was right. I should have thought of that. Yeah, thanks. Regardless, you should hurry up and go, Odin told me. Your timing isn't. The door creaked. Before I could react, Odin grabbed my shoulder and threw me into a closet. I couldn't see anything once the cabinet door was shut in my face. Someone had come in, said something that was muffled by the barrier between us, and left. You can come out now. Foi, I shouted as I pulled my way back into the room. What was that about? That was one of Father's servants, Odin answered, removing the shiny lid covering a bunch of really tasty-looking fish. They brought me my evening meal. What are you doing? I couldn't really answer since one of the fish got stuck in my throat. It was really big. It stopped me from being able to talk. I couldn't only manage HMFM. He grabbed me by the face and stretched my cheeks. I swallowed the rest of the fish whole since I was scared that he was going to try to take it from me. That's my dinner. Spit it out. No way, I yelled back. It's tasty. Hee. It is, isn't it? Wait, no, that's not the point. It's mine. You can't have it. My hand was slapped out of the way before I could grab another one. Are you even listening? To CH. Stingy. Look, he said, picking me up and moving me further away from the yummy food. I don't want to waste any of my energy arguing with you. I'll share some of it, I said. Let go. My stretched out arm was being shaken like a wet noodle. I was forced to let go of the handful of salmons that I grabbed, but I managed to get away with one. Odin huffed, but he thankfully let it go. He took off his mask and grabbed a salmon for himself. Hey, wait, you're a girl. Odin froze for a moment. This is the first time that you've seen me without my mask, right? I don't remove it often. I suppose that I am indeed a woman, but I'm a man. The tall, obviously a girl, puffed out her chest. Allow me to explain. I am Yamato, son of Kaido. She lost me. I thought your name was Kazuki Odin. I've been calling you that for a month now. Of course, I am Kazuki Odin. Will you make up your mind? She closed her eyes and ignored me. Or at least, that's who I must be. I started picking my nose. She was just saying whatever went through her head now, wasn't she? He was a great man, a man who I respected greatly, but my father had him executed years ago. It hit me then. That man's legacy needed to live on. I will carry out his ambitions, his dreams, pay attention when someone is talking, jackass. Are you 5? She slapped me on the back of the head so hard that it bounced off the floor. I started rubbing it instinctually. When I forced my blurry eyes to open, it was only chance that made me look at the mystery words above her head. Yamato. That was your name. Did I knock some brain cells out of you? She growled. I just explained all of that. I blew a raspberry at her. And you took too long. Say it in 10 words or less. She actually seemed kind of upset. You're from Wano country, aren't you? I don't care how young you are. I won't let you spit on the name of a great man who died for your people. I tilted my head. What the heck was she talking about? What's Wano country? Seriously? She narrowed her eyes. This whole time I thought that you were some unlucky villager kid who stumbled onto one of our returning ships. If you were a slave, then you wouldn't be able to run around everywhere so easily. Where are you from? Fuchsia Village, I answered. Which is? On Dawn Island. Yamao crossed her arms. I've never heard of Dawn Island. No such place would have escaped Father's clutches. Onigashima rules these seas with an iron fist. I really didn't understand what she was saying. I don't get it. East Blue isn't like that at all. Is that fish doing something weird in your stomach? East Blue. Are you saying you're from the East Blue, Luffy? Yamao was really making a strange face. Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? Her stern expression was starting to worry me. Onigashima is at the far end of the new word, on the latter half of the Grand Line. We're so far from East Blue, it's not even funny. What? But that's not. No, that couldn't be right. I was at Makino's bar just the other day, wasn't I? I ran to the door. Wait, Luffy. I ignored her. I needed to get out of this place once and for all and finally figure out where this mystery tower really was. Grand Line. As if, when I go to the Grand Line, it'll be on purpose. I ran through the hallways of the highest floor as fast as I could. I knew it like the back of my hand at this point. Something growled at me right as I turned the corner. Ogre Wolf. HP 4240/4240. Hold on, that wasn't. Oof. It rushed at me so quickly that I was caught off guard and let it ram me with its horns. It wasn't supposed to be that fast, was it? It never was before. I shook it off, though. I grabbed the wolf and threw it at the wall. Ogre Wolf. HP 1975/4240. Did it stand back up? It's been a while since the last time one of these things has been able to do that after I hit them. Maybe I just didn't throw hard enough. More wolves showed up. No, actually, a lot more wolves showed up. This was way too many. Whenever I usually crossed through here, there were 10 or so at most. There had to be at least, more than 10. Gamu Gamu no Muchai. My foot stretched out and swung at them like a whip. I tried taking them all out together, which didn't work. I knocked a bunch of them back a little bit, but they all shook it off. Damn it, I didn't have time to waste here. Why were these weaklings being troublesome all of a sudden? I threw a bunch more kicks and punches at them as they got closer, but one of them managed to bite my arm eventually. Get off. I tossed it like I did the first one, but another wolf bit my leg when I wasn't paying attention. HP 9432/11930. That hurt more than it should have. What gives? I took too long to react. One after the other, they piled onto me until you have cleared levels of the 100 floor Demon Pagoda. Cooldown 1H 59M 52S. Ugh. What? I rubbed my eyes. They were blurry for some reason. When they cleared, I saw the grungy old walls of Daden's place. Wait, was that? I only had how long until I go back? I needed to wait days last time. Geez, ever since I beat that big dragon, everything's been super weird. Well, it was nice to finally be back, I guess. But still, where was the mystery tower? It didn't make sense for it not to be nearby, right? My stomach growled. I'm hungry again. Maybe I should ask Makino for more meat the next time I go out. Luffy, you finally decided to show up? Huh. Daden was standing at the door with her arms crossed. Was she angry about something? Again, do you have anything to say for yourself, boy? We've been looking everywhere for you, but you're always disappearing to do who knows what. I narrowed my eyes. Hey, why were you looking for me? Daden never looked for me. These guys didn't usually care about what I did or where I was. Garp is coming today. Damn it. It's bad enough that Ace took off. If you're not here when he's here, then I'm the one who's gonna have my hide tanned. I blinked. Grandpa was coming. That's news to me. I see. I don't think so, runt. Daden grabbed me by the back of my shirt before I could run past her. Let me go. No way. I stretched over my head and tickled her neck. She squealed and dropped me. Get back here, damn you. I stopped running, turned around, and stuck my tongue out at her before taking off again. Makino, can I hide here for? I stopped. A while. I ran up to her with a big smile on my face. Her back was turned to me since she was washing glasses, but she turned her head back to look at me. Oh, Luffy, what are you hiding from, exactly? Gramps is coming. I shouted. That was a bad thing, didn't she know? I obviously couldn't be here when he got here. She laughed. Come on, now. Vice Admiral Garp hasn't seen you in ages. I'm sure that he just wants to check in on his grandson. I nervously peeked at the timer thingy. A whole hour still. Never mind that for now, then. I swung my wrist from side to side. If Makino was just gonna tell Grandpa where I was anyway, then I should just hide in the forest until I could go back to the mystery tower. Can you make me an adventure lunchbox to go? Makino made a strange face. She narrowed her eyes at me. Didn't I just make one for you the other day? You usually stick around before you disappear on us to do your super secret training, for a little while, at least. I don't mind preparing some meals to take with you, but I do hope that you aren't trying to avoid your grandfather. Of course not. That sounded true, right? I looked away and started whistling to calm my nerves. You're lying. How did she know? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. She laughed. Of course. Just wait here for a moment. I'll whip something up. Makino turned to grab her knife, then spun back to face me. And don't you run off before I'm done. You hear me? It's rude, and I do not appreciate it when you do that, especially not when I'm making something for you. I clapped my hands together. I'm sorry. I don't do it on purpose. I just go sometimes. She didn't buy it. Right. Anyway, stay put. She turned her back to me again and started slicing a raw chunk of meat. My mouth started salivating for the split second I saw it before it disappeared over her shoulder. I zoned out so that I wouldn't get bored. I idly listened to the sounds of people entering and leaving the bar as the doors swung back and forth. Back, and forth, and back. And, hey, did you hear? Garp's ship is already in port. Seriously? That was quick. Yeah, I saw it myself. He seemed to be in a hurry for some reason, though. I froze. I looked at Makino. Then I looked at the door. Then I thought of all the bad things that Grandpa would do to me once he found out that Ace already took off. Sorry, Makino. I ran out of the bar and towards the forest as fast as I could. Would he find me there? Yes, but there was more room to run away in a forest than there was here in Fuchsia. I didn't stop running. I was almost at Dadden's hut, and I was gonna make sure to get as far past it as possible. Gramps would probably go there first, so I needed to go super far away from that place. The ground shook and I stumbled. He what? The loud yell came from the hut. It was panic time. How did he get here before me? I looked at my timer. Only a few minutes to go. I turned and started sprinting in the opposite direction. I didn't even know where I was going anymore, but I needed to be not here. I know you're there, Luffy. I ran faster. Something big and scary was closing in on me quickly. I ran around a tree, and it exploded the second that I did. Gramps was going to catch me any second. He was definitely pissed about Ace right now. This was gonna hurt. That tree root was kind of sticking out. Maybe I could hide. Yamao's frowny face was staring down at me. I really don't get how you keep sneaking in here without me noticing. Me neither, I mumbled. I sat up, crossed my legs and sighed. What a relief. I got away somehow. Yamao sat on the edge of her bed. You circled back almost immediately this time. What happened? I hummed and closed my eyes. Well, you see. Yes, I really don't understand what's going on. She twitched for an instant but didn't do anything. Her shoulders relaxed before she suddenly grew a stern expression. Never mind. Forget it. More importantly, I want an apology. An apology? For what? What do you mean, for what? She complained. You laughed at my dream. That's not true. I argued. I just wasn't paying attention is all. That's even worse. She swung her arms out to the side. My whole life, I've been trapped behind these walls. The only thing that I have is Kazuki Oden's dream, and you trivialized it. I crossed my arms. It's not my fault you were talking nonsense, and don't use big words that I can't understand. You have gained Yamato's ire. Your bond status with Yamato has temporarily changed from 2. Note, an increase in bond points will remove the temporary status. What was she getting all mad about? You. Yamao made a noise that sounded like an angry tea kettle. She grit her teeth. That's it. I'm done with you. I want you out of my tower and out of my hair right now. I pouted. I've been trying to get out of here, though. It's not my fault that I keep coming back accidentally. Yamao exploded. It is. It's definitely your fault. It's 100% your fault. Who else's fault could it possibly? Not important. My point is, I'm coming with you this time to make sure that you don't come back here ever again. My eyes sparkled. Really? Gee, thanks. Her angry expression disappeared instantly. She looked like someone slapped her across the face for some reason. You want me to help you leave? Yes. Wasn't that obvious? Why wouldn't I want her help? Yamao grunted and walked to the door. I guess I was being stupid, then. Let's go. Yamato's ire deepens. Your bond status with Yamato has temporarily changed from 2. Note, gaining bond points with this character has temporarily become more difficult. Note, an increase in bond points will remove the temporary status. What now? The moment I stepped out of the room, the mystery boxes started getting out of hand again. Yamato has joined your party. Yamato's status can now be accessed from the page on the main menu. Warning. If Yamato is defeated, the quest will no longer be available. While I was busy waving off the annoying floating words, Yamao had already moved ahead of me. A wolf tried to attack her, but she swatted it away easily. She turned her head back to glare at me, then stomped forward. Girls were confusing. We kept moving forward and I noticed that we were getting through the top floor really fast. Yamao was plowing through the wolves like they weren't even there. She was actually really strong. Yamao's giant club moved so quickly that I could barely see it. Another wolf tried to sneak up behind her. Before I could warn her, she shifted out the way and her club turned pitch black. When she hit the wolf, it split in 2. That's so cool, I gushed. How do you do that? Can you teach me? She ignored me. Rude. I tried to run up to her, but she started walking faster. What's your problem? She stopped suddenly and I ran straight into her back. She turned while I was rubbing my nose. My problem? What's your problem? Who calls someone's dream boring out of the blue like that? Oden must be rolling in his grave right now. Now I was getting angry. She was going on about that guy again. Oden this, Oden that. I don't know who this Oden person actually is, and I don't care either. I stretched out my arm and poked her chest before she swatted my hand away. A dream comes from a person's heart. If you want to tell me your real dream, I'll listen. This is my real dream. Idiot. It's the dream I've taken from some random guy. I interrupted her. You're strong, aren't you? If being this Odin guy really is your dream, then why are you cooped up in your room all day talking about what you want to do instead of going out and actually doing it? Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. We're done here. Fine, fine. We stopped talking to each other while we made our way to the staircase. That was okay with me, though. If Yamao wanted to be stubborn, then I'd let her be stubborn. I turned my head left and right looking for the gate ogre. It should be somewhere nearby, right? Once we got to the stairs, I stopped and scratched the back of my head. Instead of the big monster guy, there was a strange six-armed woman blocking the way. Hey, lady, who are you? Solitaire. She just noticed us now. I couldn't see her eyes because of her funny helmet, but her lips curled downward. So it's true, then. The lizard Zoan stationed on the 50th floor reported that an unknown child came down from the top of the tower and beat him senseless. Kaido-sama was right to fear that you were up to something, Yamato. Yamao never stopped walking. Get out of the way. The strange lady suddenly looked nervous. Think about what you're doing. Your father gave the express order that you are to stay in your room for another month. He already isn't happy with you. And your rebellious behavior isn't helping the matter. She saw that Yamao wasn't listening. The lady tensed up and got ready for a fight. Fine, I'll stop you right in. The has been slain. Advance to the next level. I blinked. What just happened? The strange lady was passed out on the ground. Yamao was waiting for me at the stairs. Are you coming or not? My eyes sparked and I ran up behind her. Yeah, wait for me. That was totally neat. I want to know how to do that, too. On to the next floor, I shouted. Yamao really was something else, as I had just found out. If someone like her was going to help me, then this was going to be a piece of cake. Notice, stages 1-99 of our level locked. You may not progress to the next stage with an overall party level higher than. Please change your party members in order to continue the quest. I couldn't move my feet anymore. Yamao was looking at me strangely. What now? Everything was going so well, too. Notice, Yamato cannot be removed from your party at this time. The party leader will now be transported to the next available stage. Wait, slow down. That's too much all in. I was in a strange room that I'd never seen before. It wasn't Makino's bar. It wasn't the bandit hut. It wasn't Yamao's room. And it wasn't any of the floors of the mystery tower that I'd gone through up till now. It was a really big and really long room with barely any lights at all. The only thing that I could see clearly was the big, cool-looking throne at the very end of it, and the huge guy that was sitting on it. He had a long, funny mustache and large, pointy horns. He was looking at me really intensely, too. Hey, mustache guy, I yelled from all the way back here. Do you know where I am? I needed to find Yamao as quickly as I could. He wasn't saying anything. He looked kind of old. Did he forget to clean his ears this morning? So it's you, he said in a low, grumbly voice without actually answering my question. Me, the child who's been raising hell in my pagoda. It is you, isn't it? It's bold of you to show your face here, brat. His pagoda. My eyes shot open. You're Yamao's dad, right? Mustache guy narrowed his eyes. His hands were still grabbing the arms of his cool throne chair thing. But he leaned forward a little to get a better look at me. And how do you know Yamato? I laughed. Yamao, she's being silly right now, but she's usually pretty nice, I think. I thought that she was a boy at first, but since I end up in her bedroom a lot I eventually found out that she was a girl. Has activated. You have gained Kaido's enmity. Current objective, survive. Time remaining, 6M66S. Your opponent's level is too high. That cannot mitigate all damage. Has reduced blunt damage by 98%. Notice, it's never a bad idea to ask for help. It hurt. It was strange. It didn't hurt in the same way that Grandpa's punches hurt. Those felt more like his body wasn't made of rubber whenever he hit me. This wasn't that. My devil fruit was still working just fine. And really, it wasn't the hits themselves that hurt. I just bounced around like I always did. The issue was that I was bouncing around way harder than I've ever been bounced around before. It felt like I was being stretched too hard, too fast. It wasn't hurt in the ouch kind of way. It was uncomfortable. Really, really uncomfortable. So uncomfortable that I was scared that I might snap in half. The scary guy's next hit was just as fast as the last one. Again, it was too fast for me to even tell what he hit me with. Notice, it's never a bad idea to ask for help. He hit me harder than last time. There was nothing that I could do to stop myself from crashing straight through the wall. The wall was thick. I bounced on the ground a few times before rolling to a stop. I was lying flat on my back, and I noted that I could see the sky. The clouds looked totally different from the ones on Dawn Island. My body shivered. Again, it was supposed to hurt, but it couldn't. I didn't like the feeling at all. With blurry vision, I could see my life numbers. They were way too low right now. I only had half left, maybe. Still alive. The big, scary jerk followed me through the giant hole he made in his tower. You must have a devil fruit then. A smile, maybe. I didn't want to have to use my haki to slay a pest. Yet here we are. The closer he came, the heavier the air around me seemed to feel. Notice, it's never a bad idea to ask for help. My legs were really, really shaky, but I was able to stand on 2 feet. I was breathing super heavily. And it was kind of hard to look at the bad guy straight on because of that. I saw something. Slowly, my eyes widened. His hand was turning black. It was like what Yamao did earlier. This could be bad. Notice, it's never a bad idea to ask for help. Notice, it's never a bad idea to ask for help. Notice, it's never a bad idea to ask for help. Shut up. I screamed at the annoying mystery squares. Didn't they know that I was busy right now? Did they really think that I would bother trying to read anything at a time like this? Mustache Guy was looking at me strangely. You're understandably upset, he said. Don't blame me. It was Yamato's own foolishness that landed you in this mess. If it's any consolation, your death will be so quick that I wouldn't be able to make it anything but painless. Vendor Bagua. Mustache Guy wasn't able to kill me. Wait, was it really killing me if I didn't actually die? That aside, whatever it was, he wasn't able to do it, and that was because Yamao showed up and stopped his giant club with her own not as big but still really big club. She grunted. Mustache Guy didn't let up. He pushed his club down on hers, and her knees started to buckle. She looked back at me and smiled even though she was sweating a lot. I found you, she yelled. I smiled back. Yamao, you're awfully bold, daring to show me your back to me after all you've done. Something hit Yamao, and she was sent crashing into me. We tumbled around until we were stopped by a wall. There were people here. A lot of people. They were dressed in strange clothes, and they were starting to crowd around us. They were watching, talking to themselves. But I couldn't really understand what they were saying since they were all talking at once. Mustache Guy didn't seem to mind them. He took his time walking towards Yamao and me. I think he was glaring at us, but I couldn't see very well right now. Yamao's chest was crushing my face and only one of my eyes was free. I'm surprised, Yamato. I didn't think you'd go this far just to undermine me. She didn't say anything to him. Yamao slowly pushed herself to her feet. Luffy, run. It took me a moment to register what she told me. I frowned. No way. I'm sure you're strong. She snapped back at me before I could finish, but you're not strong enough to fight my father. I hate to say it, but the way that I am now, neither can I if you want to live, run. My mouth fell open. What about you, then? Don't worry about TCH. She grabbed me and threw herself to the ground. Something really fast and bright shot over our heads. Was that a lightning bolt? I couldn't tell. I'm killing the boy, Mustache Guy growled. We'll be having word la. Yamao leapt at him and slammed her club onto his head. Her dad stumbled back and clutched his face with a hand. Yamato, you dare, I've had enough of you. Has leveled up. The skill is now level 55. He was angry. Very, very angry. I thought he was angry up till now, but this was way worse. Yamao gasped. Something in her body sounded like it just broke. Warning, if Yamato is defeated, the quest will no longer be available. Warning, Yamato's health is getting low. This character cannot be revived if their HP reaches 0. What? But I revived all the time. That's not fair. 4 minutes have passed. Time remaining, 3M, 6S. Wait, that's right. I only had to hang on for a little while, right? But I could leave Yamao here, could I? Her dad was really mean. Gamu Gamu no. My hands stretched out behind me. No, Yamao shouted. I didn't listen. Pistol. The air clapped when my arms shot forward. I tried to hit Mustache Guy as hard as I could, as fast as I could, before he hurt Yamao any more than he already did. It worked. It kind of did, at least. When I hit his head, Mustache Guy's neck was pushed back far enough for Yamao to break away from their contact. That was dangerous, you know, she told me. I didn't answer back. 3 minutes left. If my punch did anything, I couldn't tell. I still couldn't see any of Mustache Guy's numbers. I grabbed her hand and started running away as fast as I could. She was able to keep up easily. I didn't know why, but no one really stopped us. The crowd moved out of the way, and Mustache Guy just watched us leave with a really mean look on his face. We ran and ran and ran. Yamao eventually pulled ahead and yanked me into a seemingly random building. This is our provision stockpile, she started to explain, gesturing to all the crates in the warehouse-looking space. Father will find us soon, but hopefully, we can hide here long enough to. Are you seriously eating right now? I had found a bunch of bananas in a box. 3 were in my mouth right now. I swallowed them so that I could answer her dumb question. Plus 70 HP, plus 70 HP, plus 70 HP. Of course I am. We should refuel ourselves while we have a chance. I'm a little beat up right now, but I'll be a lot better once I eat. She wasn't impressed. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Hey, it works. It doesn't. Does so. Does not. I huffed and looked for more food. Did they have any meat around here? We were both quiet for a moment. I'm sorry, she muttered. Her wrists were held out in front of her, and she stared at the shackles on them. As long as I have these, I won't be able to do much more than this. I tilted my head. It was a fashion statement or something, wasn't it? Take them off, then. I would if I could. I made grabbing motions with my hands. Aren't you super strong? Just pull. They're sea stone. It's not that easy. I need a key. A key? Huh. I put a fist under my chin. I tried my best to think of a way to help her. I didn't know anything about a key or whatever. Notice, must be commenced order to change the main quest. That can be accessed from the inventory menu. Another annoying mystery square popped in front of me, but I turned away and closed my eyes. Thinking was already hard enough as it was. I didn't need more words to distract me right now. Does your dad have it? I asked. She clicked her tongue. Probably. Who knows? Maybe he threw it out. My jaw fell open. What? That's so mean. Maybe something else then. Notice, must be commenced order to change the main quest. That can be accessed from the inventory menu. Maybe you don't need a key. What if you use a really big rock to break it? Sea stone is much stronger than any rock. Chi. Notice, must be commenced order to change the main quest. That can be accessed from the inventory menu. I got it. Why don't you? Before I could finish, the roof of the food place disappeared. Hey, Yamato. It was a deep voice. Loud too, even though it sounded like it was supposed to be a low tone. Slowly, I looked up. Sweat started pouring down my face. There was a big, spiky snake floating in the air. It was glaring at them intensely. Yamao sucked her teeth. Father found us. That's your dad. The big floating snake growled. I didn't find you. That insinuates that you had gotten away in the first place. I let you run off to wherever it was that you thought you could escape to. If you had a means of leaving this island, it wouldn't have hurt to let you lead me to it. A moot point now, since you just locked yourself in here and hoped for the best. I expected much better from you. A plan, at least. As if I'd run. Yamao screamed back. I will be the one to free Wano country. Small-minded. The snake shouted right back. I will make you the shogun. And you will rule as I tell you. I frowned. No. Her snap shut the snake up for a moment. I'll have to teach you a more permanent lesson, then. I was angry. Not for me, but for Yamao. I wanted to yell at the snake. I wanted to yell at him so badly. But I couldn't, because I fell onto my knees. This bastard. I couldn't breathe. 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 I couldn't. Luffy. Yamao called my name. She looked shaken up too, but she was in a much better condition than me. It felt like someone was pushing down on me. It wasn't that I didn't feel strong enough to push back, but rather it felt like I didn't have any arms to push back with in the first place. It was like I didn't know how. My arms were right there on my shoulders. They hadn't moved. I could still use them. So why? Haki has been achieved. Discover all 3 to unlock active skills for this ability. I found my arms and I pushed back. The snake was stronger though. Much, much stronger. My hands were shaking. My knees trembled. Sweat dripped down my chin. But I stood up and glared at the snake bastard. You're more of a pest than I believed you'd be, boy. I ignored him. I turned to Yamao instead. She was giving me a wide-eyed look. Sorry, Yamao. I lied earlier. Huh, your dad. I'm totally gonna kick his ass. 7 minutes have passed. Time remaining, 0M, 6S. For a moment, everything was quiet. I didn't feel the imaginary arms pushing down on me anymore. And then the snake bastard laughed. The sky split in half. I heard crackles. They got louder and louder. Flames appeared in the snake bastard's mouth. He was going to hit us hard, but he wouldn't be fast enough. Time remaining, 0M, 2S. Wait, I panicked. Was I going to disappear like I usually did? What about Yamao then? Her dad wouldn't. Would he? I didn't know. I jumped onto her at the last moment. Yamao, stop being dumb. I'm taking you with me. What? The last thing that I saw before I stopped being able to see was the snake bastard's face. It looked really surprised. X has been cleared. Error. Start requirements for have not been met. The main story cannot be changed to a narrative branch quest at this time. You will continue the main quest from your last progress point. Congratulations. Getting stronger. The 100th floor demon pagoda has been cleared. Remaining time, 1068D. Level disparity bonus, 4003302. Completion rewards, plus, level up, level up, level up, level up. Calculating bonus rewards. Time remaining gone 100D, clear. Level disparity bonus 10-0, clear. Rewards will scale to the amount by which the clear threshold has been surpassed. Bonus rewards calculated. Please choose one of the following boons. Devil Fruit Mastery. Instantly awaken the full power of your Devil Fruit. Willpower Mastery. Instantly learn and master all 3 forms of. Random Skill Mastery. Instantly learn and master the skill. When I saw all the mystery squares suddenly appear, I almost passed out from too much information being thrown at me at once. They were surrounding me. I couldn't even tell where I was right now. There were so many words that I didn't know what to do. Was this because I was ignoring them for the past while? I took a deep breath and tried to focus. Usually, they'd go away once I actually found out what they wanted from me. One thing at a time. Slowly, I managed to read all of them, but I couldn't really say that I understood any of what the mystery squares were trying to say. If you're going to make me read, at least make sense. Damn it. The only part that I understood was towards the end. Choose a reward? From the options I was given, it wasn't really difficult to figure out which one I wanted. A rubber body was a rubber body, and I didn't really know that much about that hacky stuff to begin with. Give me fishing, I shouted. If these stupid squares weren't going to give me meat after being responsible for my life being so confusing for the past month, then I guess there was at least that. I really hoped that I could catch some super big fish if I was supposed to be better at fishing now. If the mystery squares actually did anything, that is, has been unlocked. Note, this story quest is time-based. Event flags for this quest cannot be triggered by the player. Please see for more information. And just like that, all the squares disappeared. Luffy, hey, are you listening to me? I only then noticed that Yamao had been shaking me. I was facing her, so I couldn't really see anything past her body. Wah. She put me down and slowly asked, where are we? I looked left, then I looked right. We're on Dawn Island, I answered easily. I guess I brought you back with me after all. I'm glad that worked. It would have been bad if it didn't. What? She grabbed me again, but really hard this time. Dawn Island, you said. The place in the East Blue that you said you're from. Yeah, that's impossible. Was it? I looked at the ground to double check. Then the sky. Then the trees. Yep, this is exactly where I was hiding when Grandpa was chasing me earlier. I don't think it's impossible, I decided. We're here, after all. Her eyes were spinning. No, she whined. I have to go back. Take me back right now, Luffy. I was stumped. Why? You've been trapped there your whole life, haven't you? Yamao growled. You're still missing the point, even now. I have to free the people of Wano. I didn't answer for a second. I took a deep breath. I nodded to myself and slammed my forehead against hers. Idiot. Your dad wouldn't let that happen either way. She punched me in the nose, but it didn't really do anything. The punch was slower than how she usually moved, but I didn't get out of the way because it seemed like she really wanted to hit me. You're a jerk, Luffy. I didn't really care about what she called me. You're too weak to fight him, I told her. She was furious. I couldn't use my devil fruit. And I'm way weaker than you. I'm super weak. I'm so much of a weakling that it hurts. I'm pretty sure that my face was calm, but I didn't feel very calm. That whole thing with her dad sucked. She didn't say anything for a few seconds, but she found her words eventually. That's right. That's why I'm going alone. I refuse. Yamao snarled at me. You can't tell me what I can or can't do. But I don't want you to go alone. You'll lose. It's not up to you. Right. So I'm going. No. Damn it, Luffy. She picked up her club that had been planted in the ground and threw it at a tree out of frustration. There was an awfully loud noise when the tree blew up. Why are you being so difficult? Because of you. I'm who knows how far from Wano country. You ruined everything. The very second that she said it, her teeth snapped shut and she looked away. She probably felt bad, but it's okay. I didn't really care. Yeah, I agreed. I'm the worst. Luffy, I do what I want, and a lot of the time, that ends up with me doing something that a good person wouldn't do. It's alright though. I don't care about being a good person, because there's nothing more important to me than being free. I sat on the ground cross-legged. I had to look up at her more than I already did before. You aren't free, I said simply. Or at least you weren't. If you go back now, you won't be free again. That's none of your business, she shot back hotly. I'm making it my business. You're my friend. She shut her mouth and tilted her head even further. She whispered something that I couldn't really hear. What was that? I asked. Don't worry about it. Okay. A second passed. Then two. With a drawn-out sigh, Yamao gave up and sat across from me. She still had a bit of a mean face, but I met it with a wide smile. When she spoke again, it was in a much less angry voice. I will save Wano country. Yeah, I agreed with a nod. Her hands rose and made gripping motions near my neck, but she quickly threw them back down. But I said that I'm not letting you go right now. I'm obviously going to help you, but I have to get stronger first. I promised my brother that I wouldn't leave the island until I turned 17, so we'll have to be strong enough before then. I couldn't tell what she was thinking anymore. And how old are you now? She asked. 14 and a bit. She shouted. You're just a kid. Obviously. That's 3 years. Is it? It is. That's way too long. Well, it's not like you were actually gonna get anything done in 3 years anyway. You don't know that. I do. I could tell. If I didn't have these handcuffs, I could do something. I don't think so. I didn't bother telling her why I thought that. She wouldn't listen anyway. Yamao slumped her shoulders. You're selfish. Super selfish. I know. You don't listen. I know. You eat my food even when I tell you not to. You shouldn't tell me not to, then. I'm making you keep your word. 3 years. Then we're fighting my father for Wano country. You better be strong enough by then. I don't care if you're a kid. That's not an excuse. I'm making you promise. I know. If you break your promise, I'll never forgive you. I smiled brighter. Obviously. You have gained 10 bond points with Yamato. Your bond status with Yamato has changed from 2. Hua, I'm glad we were able to talk things through. If we hadn't, has activated. Oh no. I shot to my feet and glared into the tree line. My legs felt like they would give out from under me. Yamao perked up. She didn't stand, but she looked in the same direction as me with wide eyes. There were loud footsteps. They were getting closer. Luffy, a gravelly voice grumbled. Shit. It happened so quickly that I couldn't react. Out from the bushes came Gramps. His hand shot out, grabbed me by the top of the head, and lifted me in the air. I was looking everywhere for you. Where did you run off to? When were you going to tell me that Ace left the island to be a hooligan? HMFBGMY. I couldn't answer his rapid-fire questions because the palm of his ginormous hand was covering my mouth. He dropped me back onto the ground. I landed on my butt with a soft oof. I'm gonna be a pirate too. Grandpa didn't like that. He wound back his fist, and I already knew that this one was going to hurt. I crossed my arms in an X shape in front of me to soften the blow, but it never came. Grandpa stopped himself halfway through the motion. Hey, who the hell are you? He asked. My neck stretched so that I could look over my back. Yamao was standing behind me, still as a statue. Oh yeah, I forgot. Hey, Gramps, this is my friend. Yamao, meet my grandpa. The two stared at each other wordlessly for a moment. Come to think of it, Yamao was pretty tall, wasn't she? Grandpa didn't tower over her as he did with everyone else. She was a head or two shorter than him, maybe. Grandpa's eyebrow twitched and sweat ran down his face. He looked nervous for some reason. Hey, brat, where did you meet this one, exactly? I put a finger to my chin and thought of the best way to explain this whole thing. It was kind of hard, wasn't it? There was a lot to cover. Well, her dad didn't like that we were fooling around in her bedroom, and he got really angry because I wasn't supposed to be there. Then Yamao came to help, but he got angry at her too. We had to run away. Grandpa would start catching flies if he didn't close his mouth. Luffy, yelled Yamao. Explain properly. Hey, what? Did I say something wrong? Gramps shook his head. All right, I must have misunderstood. He took me back to his home, so now he has to take responsibility. He promised that we were going to confront my father again, but we need to work some stuff out first. Grandpa looked like he was about to pass out. I wonder why. You're trying to distract me, he mumbled. Don't think that I'll just forget about what Ace went off and did. If you think I'll let you go off and do the same thing, you don't know what's coming for you. Of course, I know that he'd say that. And then he'd say, I'll make an upstanding Marine out of you yet, you ungrateful brat. I grinned. Chishishi, what's so funny? I'm gonna be king of the pirates. Like hell you are. I heard a crunch. I looked back to Yamato to see that she had taken a step back. Her foot had crushed a fallen tree branch. King of the pirates, she repeated. That's my dream. She spoke again before Grandpa could get too wound up again. I see. No wonder you're so ready to help me confront a Yonko. There was a prickly feeling at the back of my neck. I looked at Gramps fast enough to catch the icy look in his eyes before it disappeared. What was that about a Yonko? He asked softly. I didn't even know what that was. Yamao seemed confused too. She blinked owlishly. My father is one of the emperors. Grandpa took a moment. He stared at her face, then her feet, then back at her face, then her horns. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his breathing, but his temper got the best of him. Lu, Yamato, make the boat go faster. Tucci, This was boring. Really super duper boring. Who would have thought? 3 years. I'd been waiting for the day that I could finally set sail on an adventure since forever. But even that wasn't enough to change the fact that there was a whole lot of nothing between Dawn Island, wherever it was that we were going. Yamato was with me on the itty-bitty dinghy too, of course. Just like me, she was slumped over like a pile of rocks. Between the two of us, there wasn't much room, but we made it work. It was hot out. We didn't have any food. We didn't have any water. Yamato, she whined. You think there are any fish below us? She didn't answer right away. And that was a good thing because that meant that the answer wasn't just no. She thought about it for a second before forcing herself to lean over the side of the boat. Her weight made everything rock a bit as she moved. Her finger hovered just above the water's surface. I heard a quick zap, and moments later, a whole bunch of charred fish floated to the top one by one. My eyes sparkled. Yamato really was the best. My hands shot out to grab as many fish as possible before Yamato could react. Wah, Luffy, you bastard. She immediately tackled me and tried to wrestle away a couple of them, but I was already expecting this to happen. Her entire body was pressing down on me, making it a bit hard to squirm around. Not impossible, though. Using my devil fruit, my legs snaked around hers. My toes, naked thanks to my sandals, stretched out to tickle her behind the knee. For a second, she laughed. That gave me enough time to slip out from beneath her and use my legs to tie her up while my hands were free to stuff the nice and crispy fish down my throat. Jerk. Asshole. Selfish. She cut herself off. Our boat was starting to rock a little too much. One of the 3 fish that I stuffed in my mouth had already fallen out, so I quickly swallowed the other 2 whole before anything could happen to those ones too. There was a whirlpool in front of us. We were gonna hit it soon. I looked at Yamato. Hey, there's a whirlpool in front of us. We're gonna hit. I can see that. She yelled. Grab onto something. Neither of us can. A new quest has commenced. Due to unforeseen circumstances, you and Yamato have been separated. You should go find her before attempting to enter the Grand Line. Unlocks. Completion rewards. Begin now. Yes, no. I felt dizzy enough once I opened my eyes. I really didn't need the mystery squares all up in my face to add to that. I groaned and ignored what they said for now. I was too busy trying to not die. The only thing stopping that from happening until now was the piece of driftwood snapped off from what probably used to be our boat. My limp body was hanging off of it while I drifted from wave to wave. With all the strength I had left, I lifted myself out of the water and onto the plank. I took a bunch of deep breaths. I looked at the mystery squares again. I blinked. I blinked a second time. Hey, what the hell? Yamato, get over here before. A big wave splashed me, and I had to hold onto the board under me extra tight before I had my strength sapped out of me and fell. I sputtered and tried my best to spit out any water that entered my mouth. Damn it, did Yamato seriously go get herself lost? How clumsy could she be? We just left the island, like 2 seconds ago. What an awful way to. My thought trailed off. My head craned up. It looked like the thing that made that big wave was an even bigger ship, and it was right in front of me. Lucky. I landed on the top deck and immediately spun my head left and right. The ship was very ship-like, I'd say. Very much like a ship. There wasn't much to see here. No one was walking by, and nothing seemed particularly strange or out of place. Obviously, the only thing to do was to walk around and hope to run into someone. Maybe Yamato was around here too. It would make sense if she was, since as far as I knew, it was the only non-water place close by. If I were her, I'd have the same idea that I did. You, where'd you come from? I turned around and smiled. There was a pair of sailors, white and blue uniform and everything, chasing me down with pointed fingers. Hey, have you seen a really big lady? I asked, and then thought of other parts of Yamato that I could use to describe her. She's got this big, spiky club too, if that helps. One of the stretched out fingers poked me in the chest. I blinked. None of that. You're a stowaway, aren't you? One of them said, then started to look me up and down. How rude. Don't bother answering that. I can tell. This vessel is hosting a high-class event for very important persons only. If you didn't pay or weren't invited to come, then you shouldn't be here. How did you sneak in? Were you here this whole time? Do you have a vessel nearby? I pouted instead of answering his question. Geez, how stuffy. The other sailor guy growled. Speak up properly, brat. Maybe we'll throw you overboard, otherwise. Oh, I frowned, and my eyes narrowed. I wouldn't do that if I were you. My voice was even when I said it. I was being dead serious. The 2 sailors took a few steps back and gulped. And, why's that? One said slowly. Because I can't swim. I'll drown, I answered. Anyway, I started walking towards a door. Maybe Yamato was somewhere else. Talk to you later. I'm busy. Wait. They tried to stop me, probably to ask more stupid questions. But I didn't have time for them right now. I jogged down a few sets of stairs, and suddenly, it was like I was somewhere else entirely. The inside of this ship was fancy. Like, fancy. Everything was shiny, and there were a bunch of people in stuffy-looking expensive clothes dancing around in the middle of a big room. Some guys with instruments were playing the music for everyone to dance to. Teachy. None of these rich high-class people knew how to dance, though. All they did was shuffle around a bit, and the music was all slow and sleepy-like. Where was the excitement? Where was the fun? I should just show them, then. I walked to the middle of the room. Everyone was giving me strange looks, but that was okay. It was good that they were paying attention to me. They could learn better that way. This music wouldn't do either, would it? I'd have to come up with something myself. I took a deep breath. The islands in the south are warm. I sang at the top of my lungs. I jumped from one leg to another. My hands rose over my head and I clapped to the beat. I didn't really know what I was singing, but that wasn't what mattered. The lame music guys stopped what they were doing. They must have been trying to learn from me too. I improvised some more. Pineapple, pineapple, apple, 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 apple. Get him out of here. That man is ill in the head. Ho! A bunch of sailor guys tried to tackle me, but they were pretty slow, so it was easy to stay out of their way. Stand still. One of them growled at me. Another one tried to grab me again. Man, I accidentally started a whole commotion. All eyes were on us now. I laughed. Say, have any of you seen a tall lady with From the corner of my eye, I saw one of the stuffily dressed people moving strangely. She was the only one who wasn't standing still. In fact, she was slowly inching towards the exit. She had to walk past me in the sailor guise to get there, though. I could see her name and number thingies when she got close enough. Nami, cat burglar, I repeated to myself out loud. Why would anyone want to rob cats? Did that mean taking stuff from cats, or actually taking the cats? Seemed pretty pointless either way. She froze. There was a panicked look on her face. Maybe I should ask her about Yamato. Couldn't hurt. Hey, wait up. I called out to her. Strange. She started running away. I stopped messing around with the sailors and chased after her. She tried to be all sneaky-like, but I was too fast. I cornered her in some random hallway. I didn't see anyone nearby. I grabbed her shoulder. No, she shrieked as I turned her towards me. I tilted my head in confusion. What was she getting all antsy about? I smiled toothily. Her scared face turned into an uneasy one. I'm looking for someone, I told her. She's pretty big, has got a big club and stuff. Have you seen someone like her around? No. Aw, shucks. She narrowed her eyes. Who even are you? Why'd you chase after me? I heard noises from behind me before I could answer. I turned my head around. Those guys that have been annoying me will be here soon, I noted. Maybe it would be a good idea to get a move on. My hand was still on the cat burglar lady's shoulder. I could feel her tense. Hey, she stuttered. I'm gonna go now. Don't go saying anything about me being a burglar or anything, okay? I didn't let go. She looked like she was trying to get away from me, but I couldn't really tell. Aren't you, though? I asked, hoping that she would make that clearer for me. The mystery squares were confusing sometimes. She was panicking more and more. What was up with her? Look, she shouted suddenly. We can talk this out. How about this? We don't keep standing here. You help me get off this ship, and I'll give you a cut of. I'll help you find that lady you're looking for. My eyes sparkled. Wow, really? That's so nice of you. Thanks a bunch, Nami. Yeah, sure, huh. Did I tell you my, eek? I grabbed her by the waist, threw her over my shoulder, and ran. Put me down, she yelled. I ignored her. Do you have a boat? I asked. No, we'll just take one of the ones roped to the hull. I was on the top deck now. Without thinking ahead, I jumped overboard. The lady's screams grew louder. In a single motion, I twisted my body in the air, found one of the tiny boats that she was talking about, stretched my arm out to grab it, and tore it right off the rope. Bits of the boat got a little messed up, but I didn't think that it was anything important. I made sure that the boat hit the water first, then dropped the both of us on top of it. It was strong enough to take the heavy load without tipping over, thankfully. Gently, I lowered the cat burglar onto one of the seat-looking parts. Her mouth and eyes were wide open. I waved my hand in front of her face to see if she was okay. That seemed to snap her out of it. What the hell was that? She screamed. I winced and stuck a pinky in my ear. Sheesh. What was what? That? She repeated uselessly. I waited for her to say something that made sense. That thing you did with your arm. Do I really have to spell it out for you? She was getting pretty riled up. That's pretty bad for the heart, I think, so she should try to calm down a bit. I ate a devil fruit, I told her. The Gamu Gamu no Mai turned me into a rubber man. To drive it home, I grabbed my cheek and stretched it out pretty far. No normal person could do that. Her face was white as a sheet. You're some sort of freak, aren't you? Well, that was one way to put it. I held my belly and snickered. Yep. I waited a bit for her to calm down. In the meantime, I unstrapped the oars from the side of the boat. We'd have to get moving, after all. We're going to the closest island, the lady said. Her tone was measured and even. Sure, I agreed. You think I'll find any leads? Probably. She agreed without really paying attention to what I was saying. That was fine, though. You're going to need to steer us. She paused, looked over her shoulder and thought about something. She pointed in some random direction. About 15 degrees, starboard. I narrowed my eyes. Hey, are you just making stuff up? She whipped her head back to glare at me. She seemed pretty offended. Of course not. I'm the best damn navigator you'll find in the East Blue, I'll have you know. My sense of direction is unmatched. My eyes lit up. Seriously, that's so cool. Join my crew. I caught her off guard. What? Crew? I nodded excitedly. Yeah, my pirate crew. Your bond status with Nami has changed from 2. The lady's face suddenly wasn't as red anymore. In fact, her face wasn't really doing much of anything for a second. It took her a while, but eventually, she shot me a really big smile. Let's not talk about that right now, she chirped. Just worry about finding land. What the heck just happened? Was it something I said? I'd been rowing for a while. This whole time, I'd been staring at the strange shape in the distance. The island was getting closer, but there was something pretty big out there too. I squinted. Nami had her back to it, so she couldn't see what I was seeing. What's with you? She asked. I didn't answer for a moment. The strange shape was becoming a little clearer. My eyes widened. Is that a ship? She looked over her shoulder. It was definitely a ship, a funny-looking pink one at that, but I wouldn't have been able to tell from so far away, especially considering the condition it was in. The mast was snapped in half. There was a big hole torn into the side of it. All in all, it looked like it would fall apart at any moment. I rowed a little faster. I could make out the sight of people on the shore doing something with the ship. Guys were being dragged out of it by other guys in white uniforms. Marines. Nami whistled. Unlucky. This world's a scary place, isn't it? I wonder what sort of natural disaster could have caused that. I wonder. We docked. Nami jumped out of the boat right away and tied it up. I followed her as she walked up to one of the Marines dealing with the ship. Yahoo, she called out, waving her arm over her head. It looked kinda silly if you asked me, but the Marine guys seemed really captivated for some reason. Hey, boys, what's going on over here? They looked at each other for a moment. Eventually, one of them spoke up. We found this stranded frigate on a patrol, so we hauled her back. I'd be careful coming round here, though, Missy. This thing's a pirate ship. We're already arresting everyone on board, but you never know. Nami was nodding sagely. I didn't really understand the guy's logic, but Nami seemed smart, so I copied her and nodded too. Nami seemed like she was ready to turn around and go somewhere else. Wasn't she forgetting something? I stepped forward. Hey, funny hat guy. The Marine with the funny hat pointed to himself. You talking to me? I'm looking for my friend. Have you seen a really big lady anywhere? She's got this spiky metal club with her. You can't miss it. Before any of the Marines could answer me, someone behind them shrieked. I leaned over a bit so that I could see past their shoulders. Some kid with glasses was staring at me with his jaw hanging wide open. A Marine was cuffing his wrists, but he wasn't really resisting. You're her friend, the kid repeated disbelievingly. All the Marines got really tense all of a sudden. The sketchy-looking guys that were being restrained by the Marines were looking at me strangely too. Hey, the funny hat guy muttered in a low tone. Is that true? Are you a pirate? Nami's back straightened, and she got this really scared look on her face. What was up with her? She started to say something. Hey, don't. Yeah, that's right, I answered. I'm a pirate. Funny hat guy grit his teeth. Men, arrest them. Huh. The jail cell slammed shut with a loud bang. And honestly, I still didn't really understand what was going on. Nami was here too. And so was the kid. They were both sitting in opposite corners of the tiny space with their knees drawn up to their faces. They looked pretty down in the dumps for whatever reason. Hey, pirate. Nami was glaring at me while patting down her clothes for whatever reason. She seemed pretty upset. I blinked. Yeah, I must have done something wrong. She seemed even angrier now. You should have kept your mouth shut, she spat. You and your little pirate friends can get arrested all you want, but keep me out of it. Yeah, the kid stuttered out. You're not with him? No, Nami shouted. I'm innocent. Totally innocent. And what about you? The kid recoiled and smacked his head against the wall behind him. It was kinda funny. Ouch, me. What about me? There's no way that a wimp like you could be a pirate. What's your story? He groaned. Yeah, you're right. My head flipped back and forth between the two as they talked. The kid had a far-off look in his eye. If it were up to me, I wouldn't have anything to do with pirates. I was stupid and stumbled onto one of their boats. They agreed to let me live as long as I did what they told me. I'm lucky that I'm a half-decent navigator. I couldn't help but laugh. Man, you really are unlucky. Nami glared at me. I shut up. That sucks, she said. Her eyes were warm. Did you try talking to the Marines? The kid shook his head. I did. They didn't want to hear it. So, what happened to that ship anyway? My question must have seemed sudden to them. It took the kid a moment to realize that he was the one I was asking. He looked scared again. Man, what a weakling. This kid was really annoying. Spit it out. Have some tact. Nami shouted at me, but I wasn't paying attention to her right now. It was a monster, he said. A monster. Nami seemed surprised too. I was hiding below deck the whole time, so I didn't really see it, but it took out the whole crew instantly. Even the captain couldn't do anything. Before I knew what was going on, our ship was totaled and the monster was gone. The Marines came right after. So he didn't know, then. He could have just said that. Moving on. The tall lady with the club, I started again. You know her, right? You reacted when I mentioned her. The kid hesitated, then whispered, You're really her friend? Someone as awful as her. I tilted my head and thought about it. Yamato wasn't that bad, was she? Sure, she got on my nerves sometimes, and she tried to go fishing without me once, but I dunno. I think she's nice. He laughed nervously. Man, you and I live in totally different worlds, I guess. So do you know or not? He shook his head. Sorry, she'd definitely be somewhere on this Marine base. But other than that, why didn't you just say so? I jumped to my feet, making the other two freeze up. I walked up to the bars, moved them out of the way, and hey. I flipped my head over my shoulder. Something wrong? I asked. Nami and the kid had their jaws hanging on the ground. They looked pretty bug-eyed too. Hell yeah, there is. Nami screamed. You just did something pretty insane. You know, did I? Huh. I started walking. I heard Nami's and the kid's footsteps behind me. Nami grabbed my shoulder. Now hold on, she whispered angrily. This is all just one big mistake. You might be a pirate, but he and I have nothing to do with this. Breaking out will just make everything worse. Don't you know that I can probably talk my way out of this lickety-split? Don't make us suffer the consequences of your own stupidity. Made sense to me. Stay here, then. She recoiled. Nami and the kid looked at each other cautiously. I pulled away and kept walking. They followed me. Mr. Pirate, the kid said, trying to draw my attention. What's your plan, exactly? My plan? To get out of the military base, I mean. Will the rest of your crew be coming too? He trailed off. Seriously, couldn't this guy just phrase things simply? Stop trying to make me guess what you're thinking. It's just me here right now, I answered. I'm looking for more crew members, though. Hold on, piped up the kid, aren't you? I stopped walking, and everyone behind me stopped walking too. A pair of Marine guys were patrolling the halls. They were about to walk past the walls blocking their view of us. Quit moving for a second, Nami whispered into my ear. Hopefully they'll step right by us without noticing anything. I stepped out in front of the Marines. Hey, you guys have a big mace lady here, right? Their eyes bulged. You idiot, Nami babbled. I looked at her to find her and the kid crying on their knees. They sure were dramatic. Seaman first class. HP 999/11. Seaman recruit. HP 717 720th. The two had their guns pointed at me. They were both trembling. Please, I tried. They fired. I heard someone scream behind me. The kid, maybe. None of the bullets hit me, obviously. I stepped up, grabbed their guns and squeezed the barrels shut. There, what do you want? Recruit guy whimpered. He fell on his butt. I pouted. I told you already. Yamato was right. It was annoying after a while when people didn't listen to you. The older guy gnashed his teeth together. The Marines do not negotiate with pirates. I turned to give Nami and the kid a look that meant something along the lines of get a load of this guy before returning my attention to the Marine. Come on, my friend's staying here too, right? Recruit guy narrowed his eyes. We won't tell you. I walked past them. There were a bunch of cells here. It was weird to think that Yamato would be in a cell, but that's what these guys were saying. I walked up to the first one and stuck my head through the bars. Yamato. I looked left and right. Just a bunch of ugly pirate dudes. Nope. On to the next one. Yamato. Nope. Next one. Yama. Kobe. Ache. My head was halfway through another set of bars when I heard something going on behind me. The kid was trembling, pushed up against a wall. His eyes were stuck on something going on in one of the cells that I couldn't see. Nami was giving him a worried look. Mr. Pirate, he started. I think I found. I didn't let him finish. Yamato, I shouted excitedly. A wide grin was splitting my face as I ran up to. Silence. Some ugly hag in a funny hat was glaring at me. I stared back at her blank-faced. Who are you? I asked. Who the hell are you? She shouted back. I looked at the kid. Hey, this isn't who I was looking for. The kid blinked. Nami blinked. Oh, man, I moaned, burying my face in my hands. I got it all mixed up. Hey, you mean you weren't looking for Lady Alvida? The kid's question got me thinking. Lady Alvida? Who was that? I looked back at the old hag, then to the kid. Are you an idiot or something? Nami hit me on top of the head. Forget that. Let's just leave this place, okay? I rubbed my abused scalp and sniffled. She seemed antsy. Lady. Yeah. The ugly hag was screaming something or other as we left. I wasn't really listening though. Watch it. We were in the courtyard. Nami's hand shot out and stopped the kid and me from moving. I looked around, trying to see what it was that set her off. We hadn't run into any other Marines on our way out, which was pretty suspicious. Oh, there was a guy in the middle of the courtyard. No one else was around other than him. He looked like crap. He was tied to some sort of cross, and it didn't look like he'd be going anywhere anytime soon. The kid gasped. That's Ruronoa Zoro, the pirate hunter. Pirate hunter. My eyes rolled to the side to find Nami. She seemed to recognize the name too. Her brows were knitted together and her fist rose to touch her chin. What's he doing being held at a Marine base? She asked. He's a bounty hunter, not a criminal. Did he do something illegal? So, I started. Who is this guy anyway? They both looked at me like I grew a second head. Seriously, the kid whisper screamed. He's one of the most feared men in the East Blue. They say that his swordsmanship is so vicious that he's more like a beast than a man. Oh, I smiled. Cool, super cool. That sounded really, really cool. If he was a nice guy, then I'd ask him to join my crew for sure. Oi, I yelled, trying to get his attention. Once he tilted his head to glare at me, I ran up to him. I pretended not to notice Nami and the kid screaming and pulling on my arm to try to keep me away. Join my crew. His eyes widened, and his glare slowly turned into a look of sheer disbelief. I craned my neck over my shoulder. My arms were stretched all the way back to where Nami and the kid were standing. and they were staring at the body parts they were holding like they were something super scary. I looked back at the bounty hunter guy. Right, you can ignore that. Just answer my question, I told him. How the hell am I supposed to ignore that, you weirdo? He shouted. I laughed. You have asked to join your crew. Oh, charisma check. Pass. Infamy check. Notice, a bounty is needed for your infamy to be effective. Recruitment will be story limited until a bounty is acquired. I didn't really get most of that, but it was pretty clear that the mystery box was being stupid again. Harumph, this Zoro guy sure was being difficult. I couldn't get him to talk. Say, are you a good guy? I see, I continued after giving him a moment to fill in the silence. He didn't. But you're not saying that you aren't a good guy, right? I had to come up with something. We wouldn't get anywhere otherwise. If you're a good guy, then. I paused. Good. He was listening, at least. Join my crew. I asked him again cheerfully. I bent forward so that I could smile right in his face. He didn't smile back, though. No way, he ground out. Join my crew. I repeated. No, please. Saying please won't change my answer, you nitwit. Notice, a bounty is needed for your infamy to be effective. Recruitment will be story limited until a bounty is acquired. I stepped around the mystery square and pretended that I couldn't see it. Zoro watched me shuffle around with a confused frown on his face. Why not? I continued after a moment. Do you really need to ask? Besides, I have other things to worry about right now if you couldn't tell. I tilted my head. Was he talking about the whole being tied to a pole thing? This guy wasn't very good at thinking things through. Well, if you joined my crew, I'd obviously help you get out. Not the point, he snapped back. What is the point, then? Before Zoro had the chance to answer, I felt something tugging at my arm. I looked to the side, then down. The kid who'd been following us had his fingers wrapped around my elbow and was shaking like leaf. And maybe this isn't a great idea. Mister, he stuttered out. This guy's a criminal, so. He trailed off once he saw that Zoro was staring at him blankly. The kid squeaked and backpedaled until he tripped onto his butt. Weren't you paying attention? I asked the kid. Not that I didn't already know the answer. He obviously wasn't paying attention. I already asked him if he's a good guy or not, but it's just that he didn't give me an answer yet. Nami looked around her nervously before leaving the far edges of the courtyard and pacing towards us as quickly as she could. No answer means no, dumbass, she whispered, even though I didn't know why she was whispering to begin with. We were outdoors, so it was totally fine to use an outdoor voice. It's obvious that he's not a good guy. I wasn't following her logic. I don't understand. I know you don't, she screamed in her outdoor voice. Zoro stomped his foot weakly. But it was enough to get our attention. Now that you have that settled, can you get lost? You people are annoying. Nami huffed and dropped her hands on the kid's shoulders. He stiffened but didn't react beyond that. Gladly, she spat. We shouldn't be here anyway. Wasting any more time when we've been able to get out of this crapshoot relatively unharmed would be looking a gift horse in the mouth. Hey, who the hell are you? Someone had called out to us. I turned my head to the bunch of marine guys standing around an angry-looking mushroom-headed weirdo in a suit. Nami and the kid looked pretty freaked out when they started walking toward us. The tied-up guy only frowned and looked away. Now that he was a little closer, I noticed that mushroom guy's chin kinda looked like a butt. That was pretty funny. Are you three trying to interfere with this man's lawful detainment? The funny mushroom head asked in an annoying voice. I instantly wanted him to stop talking. Nami and the kid looked at each other for a moment. They seemed to have been thinking hard about something, but I wasn't able to figure out what. Of course not, Nami chimed. She cupped her chin with her hands and grinned. We have no business whatsoever with anything unlawful or arrest-related. In fact, we were just passing by and were, a little curious as to why this guy here was locked up, is all. The marine guys looked at each other confusedly, but Mushroom Head wasn't budging. He scoffed and took off the other way. I don't have time for this, he shouted again. Marines, get them out of here and make sure they stay out. You don't want Daddy to get angry again, do you? Nami and the kid sighed at the same time as Mushroom Head stomped away. Don't get involved with criminals, one of the Marines grunted before putting a hand on mine and Nami's shoulders. Even when they're tied up, people who deal in violence will always be dangerous to a civilian. You're off the hook because the base is over capacity with pirates right now, but don't come back here again. I looked down at this Zoro guy's face. The Marine was talking as if he wasn't even around. The man's teeth were grinding together. His bandana was casting a shadow over his eyes, but he was glaring all scary-like. I opened my mouth to ask him a question. Say, what did you do, Annie? Nami's hand slapped my lips shut. We're very sorry, sir. She apologized. He's a bit slow. Come on now, you two. She pulled the kid and me toward the gate by our shirts. The Marines watched us leave without interfering. Once the giant metal doors slammed shut behind us, Nami and the kid both dropped onto their hands and knees. We got away. The kid squeaked before rolling onto his back and staring up at the sky blankly. I don't know how, but we're out. Nami's head snapped up. She was glaring at me. No thanks to you, she screamed. What were you thinking? Was it too easy to just keep your mouth shut and watch those guys let us off scot-free? I stared at her blankly for a second, then looked to my left, then my right. The kid was still lying there and no one else was around. So, you talking to me? I asked, pointing to myself. You, never mind that. Nami got back onto her feet and spun away angrily. She started walking away from us. I'm done with you, pirate. See you never. My lips thinned. I stretched out my arm and held onto her shoulder firmly. Hey, you can't leave. I could feel her stiffen through my fingers. Her neck turned over her back slowly. She looked scared. Why's that? She asked calmly. The kid stood up and slowly shuffled back. His eyes were wide and his head flipped back and forth between us. I pouted. You said you'd help me find my friend. You promised. We made a deal and everything. It's not fair if you just leave now, is it? She blinked at me. She blinked again. I crossed my arms and nodded. Being right, Edna's sparkled in my eye. So there. Nami avoided my eyes. Sorry, I can't help you. You lost your friend at sea, right? There's no way that an extra head will do you any good if what you know is just that. My jaw hung open. Seriously, that sucks. She clamped her mouth shut and didn't say anything more. Before I could try anything, though, the kid butted in. Excuse me. We both looked at him. He shrank in on himself a little, but the wind wasn't totally taken out of his sails. It wouldn't hurt to go ask around the city, right? He suggested. If we go to the heart of town or something, there might be someone who's heard a rumor or two. I laughed. You're pretty smart, kid. Nami wasn't as impressed. She hunched over him and whispered loudly into his ear. What the heck are you doing? Don't drag me into this. I was about to be rid of this moron. If she didn't want me to hear that part, then she should have been a little quieter, I think. The kid made a strange noise when she called him out. Sorry. I'm just... He turned towards me and bowed. I blinked emptily at the top of his head as he did so. I'm grateful. Mr. Pirate got us out of there. It would leave a bad taste in my mouth to run off knowing that if he didn't help us, we'd still be imprisoned in the marine fort right now. He's the only reason I was thrown in there at all, Nami grumbled, but I ignored her. I beamed at the kid. Don't mention it. He got up from his bow and shook his head vigorously. There was an unusual fire in his eye. No, I have to mention it. Ever since I was a kid. It's always. What I'm trying to say is, I want to be a Marine. It's always been my dream to join the Navy, but it's not possible with a criminal record, so. He trailed off bashfully. I smiled. His dream, huh? Say, kid, what's your name? You're only asking that now. Nami squawked. No, more than that, you've definitely heard it. I know you did. Kobe, he answered simply. Your bond status with Kobe has changed from 2. Kobe, then, I repeated. If you want to join the Marines, why don't you just ask since we're here? Nami slammed her fist into the back of my head. I leaned forward and cupped the spot that she hit. Hey, it hurt. Did she? Dumbass, she moaned out with a defeated expression. They'll definitely recognize him since he was arrested with the rest of the pirates here. If he's serious about the Marine stuff, then he'll have to join at a different branch. I understood. Right. We'll take you somewhere else, then. Kobe blinked. Really? Is that fine? I was confused by his question. Why wouldn't it be? I asked back. It wasn't like I was just gonna stay here anyway. It was a shame about that Zoro guy, but I guess it couldn't be helped. Nami crossed her hands in an X in front of her. You two do whatever you want, but I have stuff to do. My head spun around to face her. I think the strange way that my neck turned kinda freaked her out. Why not? I asked. That's none of your business. Okay. Her brows furrowed. So then, I'll just... Nope. I shot her down before she could say anything. Nami clicked her tongue. Fine. I'll stick around and lend you a hand, but only until you've given up on looking around here. I smiled. Thanks. Kobe raised his hand for some reason. After waiting a moment for something, he lowered it. Mr. Pirate, he started, is there maybe, I don't know, something that you could tell us about your friend? Anything that could help us describe her when asking around, really? I thought about it for a moment. Big, has a club. We covered that already, Nami snapped back. I lifted a finger to my chin. Well, she's got horns. Horns, they repeated. Oh yeah, I couldn't forget about her devil fruit. It made her look different whenever she used it after all. She's got fur all over her, sometimes. Fur. Also, she gets all scary when she gets angry. I've seen her snap a sea king in half with a... Stop. Nami begged with her hands stretched out in front of her. Just, stop. Are you even looking for a human being? Good question. Was Yamato a human? I didn't really know. Probably not, right. She was a person, though. But then again, person wasn't the same as human, or at least, that was how I understood it. I knew a bunch of people that looked way too weird to be human. I hummed. Maybe. Not sure. Nami took a deep breath. In the meantime, Kobe spoke up again. A name, then. Your friend must have a name that we could use, right? That's always a good place to start. Oh, smart. I grinned. Her name's Yamato. And what about you, pirate? I turned to Nami. Her eyes didn't blink once as she stared at me. Me, yeah, you have a name, don't you? I shut my eyes and my smile widened. Yeah, call me Luffy. X. We walked through the city streets. My eyes were whirling all over the place, trying to keep track of all the cool things that were appearing in front of me. I didn't get to see all of this before, but this place was way different from Dawn Island. Gosh, adventuring sure was exciting. Something was off. It was all the villagers around us. They seemed freaked out by something. There weren't many people on the streets to start with. Most of them were peeking out through their windows, but of the few that were out and about, all of them were pretty on guard. I wasn't the only one who noticed. Nami frowned. Hey, is it just me? Or Kobe nodded. Yeah, hey, you three. Someone was whispering at us angrily. I turned to see some random lady nervously shuffling from one foot to another with an arm stretched out to block our view of a little girl. What are you doing walking around like that? She tried to say in what came out as more of a shout. Obviously, none of us had any idea what she was going on about. The woman bit her lip. You aren't from around here, are you? If so, you've come at a bad time. We didn't get the chance to ask her what she meant. There were heavy footsteps behind us. I turned around, and so did Kobe and Nami. A whole bunch of Marines were marching down the street. The lady pushed us all into the building behind her and shut the door before we could ask any questions. Suddenly, the Marine guy leading the way stopped in his tracks and everyone behind him did too. We watched it happen through a nearby window, though I couldn't get a good view because Nami kept pushing my head down whenever I tried to poke my head through the opening. Head Marine guy took a deep breath. His hat was casting a dark shadow over his eyes. Tax collection, he yelled. We'll be quick. Have one representative from each household at the ready. We don't want to ask twice. I watched an old man step out of his house and fall to his knees. Please, he begged, his head still lowered. We won't have anything left. I'm my grandson's sole provider, and I need this money to pay up. Old man. A Marine droned emotionlessly. Everybody pays. The lady looked away sadly, and the girl hanging off of her buried her face into the back of her skirt. Kobe covered his mouth in horror and Nami seemed pretty calm. Actually, Kobe's voice quivered. These people are Marines, right? Slowly, my blank expression melted into a scowl. A quest flag has been raised. Something's fishy. And it's not the harbor. The Marines aren't acting like they're supposed to, and the whole town has been thrown into disarray. Get to the bottom of this. Objective. Find all clues leading to the truth of the Shell's Town Marine Base. Clues found, 0 divided by 5. Bonus objective. Find all clues leading to the truth of Roronoa Zoro's arrest. Clues found, 0 divided by 3. Completion rewards, 50% discount. Bonus rewards. I was too upset to care about whatever the mystery square was trying to tell me. I watched calmly as the lady handed over a bunch of belly notes to the Marine guy who couldn't look her in the eye as he took the money. Hey, lady, I spoke once he left. She turned to the window, which I had already stuck my neck through. What is it that all of you people are paying them for, exactly? She smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. Don't mind that, dear. Living expenses are a bit high around here is all. We've grown used to it. But you shouldn't, Kobe yelled. He practically jumped out the window, falling forward and onto his butt outside. I mean, the Marines shouldn't. This isn't how representatives of the world government should act. This isn't justice. If it's obvious that no one can afford to pay the state tax, then it's their job to do something about it, not run the town into poverty. Kobe sure did have his own idea about what the Marines were supposed to be. He lowered his head before continuing in a lower voice. Why are they doing this? Is it because of the pirates? Do they need funding to deal with the scale of the detainment? The girl that was hiding behind the lady stomped forward. No, they're just a bunch of meanies. The lady pulled the kid towards her and slapped a hand over her mouth. She looked around to see if any of the Marines had heard the girl, but they had already moved on. She sighed. It's the captain of the base. Morgan, he's corrupt, offered Nami. The lady's smile thinned, but it wasn't hard to figure out what that meant. How about you all come inside? She suggested instead. That must have been quite shaking for travelers such as yourselves. I run a tavern. Can I offer any of you something to eat? I'm afraid there won't be much of an ambience until the regulars come along later, but sure, I agreed before Kobe or Nami could offer their own input. I didn't need to hear anything more. I stole the steak right off of Nami's plate when she wasn't looking, and it seemed like she wouldn't notice anytime soon. She had a finger on her chin and she was looking all focused-like. She'd turned around to face the nice bar lady. So the head of the Marine base has been a thorn in this island's side for years. Nami tried to clarify. Clues found, a 5th. Find all 5 clues to progress the quest. She sounded pretty mad. Kobe was sitting next to me at the table, staring at his food with balled fists. I had my eye on him while I chewed on Nami's food. The second that he looked away, that pie would be mine. Nice bar lady chuckled uneasily. There's no need to bring up such depressing subjects. You three have come to this town for your own reasons, right? Kobe snapped out of his funk. That's right, miss. We're looking for someone. Have you heard of a lady named Yamato passing through here? She's very big, from what I've been told. The lady shook her head. Sorry, maybe someone else has heard differently, but we really haven't had many people passing through here as of late. You're the first strangers I've seen around in a long time. That sucked. Then maybe I'd have better luck wherever it was that we sailed to next. That was my cue. I swallowed Kobe's dish in one bite. The poor sucker turned back and immediately went bug-eyed. What the? It makes you think. Nami started again, looking back at us and cutting Kobe off. She didn't seem to waste too many thoughts on what the lady just said about Yamato. How awful must Zoro be if even these guys went out of their way to detain him? Then again, it's not like they don't do their job at all if they were arresting those pirates. No, the girl from earlier ran out from a back room carrying a tray of drinks. The lady grabbed the tray from her before she could slip. Big bro, Zoro isn't a bad guy, the girl shouted. Her cheeks were puffed out. Those jerks are just unfair. They were breaking things in Mommy's bar, so Big Bro stopped them. But she trailed off sadly. I slammed a hand into my fist. I see. So Zoro wasn't a bad guy, then? That settled it. If I wasn't gonna find Yamato on this island, then I was gonna get something out of this. The sound of my chair's legs scraping against the ground echoed as I stood up. Everyone looked at me. MK, I'll be back. I'll go talk to Zoro, then tear down the marine base or something. Wait, I'd left the tavern and closed the door behind me. I spun my arms in circles and whistled as I started walking toward the marine base. It was this way, right? The door that I had just closed swung right back open. My arms stopped mid-twirl and I turned my head over my shoulder, wide-eyed. Nami and Kobe were standing there with beads of sweat dripping down their faces. Were they okay? Luffy, Nami started softly. What was that you were saying about tearing down the marine base? I blinked. I'm going to tear down the marine base. You just repeated what I said. Kobe stepped forward. You can't just do that, he shouted. The kid's glasses were all crooked on his face. Why not? I asked. A wind kicked up, so I pushed my straw down on my head firmly. What put this idea in your head anyway? Nami asked me. Is it what that girl said about Zoro? She's a kid. You can't take anything that she says at face value. That's just irresponsible. You'll get in trouble for real this time. Nami explained once she realized that I wasn't gonna say anything. Her arms crossed all serious-like. Attacking a government building is more than a petty crime. They might just execute you. I didn't get it. They were saying all of this like it meant anything. Yeah, so, I'm a pirate. They were quiet for a moment. Nami's eyes widened for a split second before immediately going back to normal. She looked away. Your bond status with Nami has changed from 2. You just set sail a little while ago, right? I can tell. You're not a pirate. You're just a dumbass who's playing the part without knowing what a pirate really is. I hope you're ready to die because that really is what's gonna happen to you. If I die, then I die. I'll do it 'cause I wanna. I spun on my heels before I could see their reactions. I could hear their footsteps following me as I walked away, but I didn't look back at them. Hey, you there. Step away from the fort walls. Clues found, a 5th. Find all 5 clues to pro. I grabbed the flat surface of the giant gates. My grip warped the metal as my fingers dug into it. Didn't you hear me? I pulled. The gates were torn right off the hinges, and their weights kicked up huge clouds of dust as they hit the ground. The marine guy that was yelling at me ran away. Why you? I tilted my head back and my neck stretched so that I could look behind me. I held onto my hat so that it wouldn't fall. I exclaimed when I saw Nami and Kobe hiding behind a building really far back. You two are still there. Their eyes were dead. You really aren't human, are you? Nami said. That caught me by surprise. My spine snapped back into place. I'm not, I asked, kind of worried. Before anything else could be said, a bunch of marine guys ran through the big hole that I just made. Kobe shrieked. He and Nami ducked behind their cover, only poking the sides of their faces out a little. You need to get out of there, Luffy-san. Kobe tried to tell me without being too loud. There's way too many of them. What the heck was he saying? There were only a few of them here. Oh, maybe there were others that I couldn't see. Yeah, that must have been it. I took off my hat and held it to my chest while my other hand came up to give shade to my eyes. I spun around and tried to look for more marine guys while Nami and Kobe let out strangled cries. I heard clicking. I stopped spinning around and looked at all the guns being pointed at me. One of the marine guys stepped forward and yelled, "Intruder. I recognize you. You're the pirate that we arrested at the docks. How did you get out? Did Iron Mace Alvida?" He stopped talking once I started walking toward them. He gritted his teeth. Men, ready, aim, fire. I buried my fist in his face. A bunch of bullets were shot at me at the same time that he hit the ground. Obviously, none of them landed. I grabbed the closest marine by the hair and slammed him into whoever was nearby. I jerked my head to the side right before another bullet whirled past my ear. How did you? That guy was next. I fell to a crouch and flung out my leg. The Marine tripped, and as he fell, I kicked him in the gut and sent him barreling into a bunch of other weaklings. That was most of them, right? Get the captain, one of them yelled. After that, the rest of the weaklings ran away. I stepped past the unconscious ones and entered the Marine base. Zoro was somewhere in the front, right? I wanted to talk to him first. Luffy, all those Marines, you, Nami and Kobe had stepped out of hiding. I beat them up, I finished simply. I'm mad at them and they were in the way. That's not something that you can just do. Kobe screamed. Why not? Because it's against the... He cut himself off. Good. I didn't have to say anything. I found Zoro. Hey, I shouted. I was smiling again. And in seconds, I had already run up to the guy. Wow, he looked ever worse than earlier somehow. It took him a lot of energy to look up at me. What do you want, kid? I thought I already told you to piss off. Bean, join my crew. The girl from the tavern says you're a nice guy, so I think it's fine. He spat on the ground. You're thicker than a bag of bricks, you know that. I already said no. My sentence is to hang out here for 30 days. And that's exactly what I'll do. I will, but there won't be a here in just a bit. I'm gonna kick the captain guy's ass because he's being mean and I'm busting this place up too while I'm at it. Whatever the Marines say you've gotta do won't really matter in a minute. Wait, you can't do that. He shouted at me with more energy than I thought he had in him. Why not? I asked. Chi, another one. Seriously, was everyone outside of Fuchsia this unreasonable? I made a deal. So, a man doesn't go back on his word. Grk. I took a step back and frowned. He had me there. Going back on your word wasn't manly at all. But, are you two done? Nami whined. She was standing next to me suddenly. Kobe was somewhere between her and the exit and he kept flicking his head back over his shoulder as if someone was gonna poke him in the butt. The longer you take, the sooner there'll be more Marine reinforcements. Then why don't you leave? I asked her. It wasn't like I made her come or anything. Besides, I was gonna be looking for Yamato somewhere else after this anyway. She could have left any time she wanted. Girls were weird. I have no intention of becoming a criminal, kid, Zoro told me, talking over Nami. I have my own ambitions. I don't have time to slow down for someone who's playing pirate. Jerk. Another one, I looked him dead in the eye. I'm not playing. He didn't want to hear it. He was right back to being quiet. Chi. I stuck my tongue out at him. Fine. I'll come back once I wreck this place up. Wait. I buried my heel into the ground. Those bastards took my swords. They're in the base somewhere. Don't touch them. Slowly, I turned back. I could feel a devilish smile splitting my lips. Well, if you join my crew. Once he realized what I was saying, Zoro's eyes widened. You're a real son of a... No time. Kobe screamed. They're here. Sure enough, a bunch more Marines had come to the courtyard. There was a really big guy with a cool metal jaw marching in front of the others. He stopped a good bit away. Men, at the ready. We're killing them all right now. But Captain Morgan, sir. That's not. The Marine who spoke had his head chopped off by an axe attached to the jaw bastard's arm. I could feel a vein throbbing in my head. I sort of noticed Nami running off somewhere and Kobe freaking out. But I wasn't paying attention to them right now. Hey, asshole, I shouted at the big Marine guy. The jaw bastard cracked his neck. So you're the shrimp who's been causing a commotion in my town. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Hey. He wasn't ignoring the fact that he just killed one of the guys working for him, right? I clenched my fist. Zoro, make up your mind right now. If you want to join my crew, I'll go get your swords. Otherwise, I'm burying this bastard right now. I don't know what'll happen to your stuff if I do that, though. I tilted my head just enough so that I could see him from the corner of my eye. For a moment, I didn't think that he'd say anything. What's your name, kid? Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy, then. Why are you two talking so casually? Blubbered Kobe. The Marines are right. Zoro spoke over him. I'm going to be the world's greatest swordsman. You've given me an ultimatum. I don't like that, but I'm not going to let my dream end here. If you ever stand in my way. He trailed off threateningly. I grinned. Your dream, I was kind of worried about this, but it looked like I made the right choice. I absolutely needed strong crew members for what I was gonna do. Fire. The captain's voice must have been loud because every Marine behind him heard the order clearly. Hundreds of bullets flew at us. Kobe fell to his knees and grabbed his head uselessly. Before anything could hit us, I grabbed Kobe from the ground and tore Zoro, and the thing that he was being tied to, right out of the dirt. I jumped and watched all of the bullets fly right by beneath us. When I landed, everything was quiet. I dropped the two I was holding, and Zoro wiggled off the broken mast with only a little bit of difficulty. One of the Marine grunts dropped his gun. I couldn't see who did it, but I could hear it. Who just dropped their weapon? The jaw bastard asked. No one answered him for a moment. Me, sir. Kill yourself. Right now. But enough, I shouted. I was sick of this. I was sick of this guy. I was sick of these Marines. I was sick of everything they'd been doing until now. My heel smashed the dirt beneath me. It made a loud clap sound, and an instant later, I was in front of the jaw bastard. He snarled at me and lifted his axe. Way too slow. I slapped it and it shattered. The arm froze. I get it, the jaw bastard said evenly. This is one of those devil fruits, right? Don't think you're some hotshot just because of that. I don't care if you got a devil fruit or if you've gotten shat on by a fairy. That's not enough to make it in this world, kid. You're about to learn the hard way that someone like you will never amount to anything. It was like the Marines suddenly remembered that they were supposed to be the bad guys. Their surprise disappeared and the barrels of their guns were pointed at me again. I wanted to hit this guy really, really hard. I couldn't. Not yet. I told Zoro that I'd get his swords first. Annoying. Heads up. I looked up. A window was open, and 3 objects were thrown out of it. I saw orange hair fluttering around the opening. Nami. Zoro didn't hesitate. He looked like he was about to pass out at any moment, but he still had enough strength to stand up and grab each object as they fell. Were those my swords? My newest crewmate exclaimed. Nami was crawling down the side of the fort walls like some sort of spider monkey. How was she doing that? That was awesome. Was she really able to find Zoro's stuff so quickly? Without getting caught, even? Man, Nami really was. Quit spacing out, shrimp. A really big hand grabbed my face. I let it happen. The captain's palm was covering my smile. I'll hold him still. On my mark. Boom. I lifted my leg and kicked him in his side. He was forced to let go of me as he barreled through his men and straight into the Marine base. He went straight through the bricks like they were made of paper. The walls were hit so hard that chunks of stone and stuff were sent flying in every direction. The entire half of the base that was facing us disappeared. The roof collapsed. It took less than a second to turn most of the Marine base into a pile of rubble. I was proud of myself. That felt good. I walked through the crowd of stunned Marine people. They weren't stopping me. I got closer to the rubble. I climbed to the highest point of the hilly mess that I'd made one step at a time. I took a deep breath and puffed my chest. I looked down at everyone here. The Marines, Kobe, Nami, Zoro. They were all looking up at me, still as statues. My lips opened to show teeth. Then they pulled up my cheeks. My grin was gonna split my face in half. Right. They needed to know something. There was for sure something that I felt I needed to tell them right now since I was here and everything was as it was. It was kind of annoying when everyone was treating you like you weren't taking this seriously. Hopefully, they knew better now. I introduced myself loudly enough that I could be sure that everyone could hear what I was saying clearly. I wasn't through with the jaw bastard yet, so he better have been hearing me from wherever he was pretending to nap. My name is Monkey D. Luffy and I'm gonna be king of the pirates. I waited for the Marine guys to do something, but they kinda just kept standing there with their mouths hanging open. Same with Kobe and Nami and Zoro. What now, then? Maybe they didn't hear properly. My name is Monkey D. Luffy. We heard you the first time. Nami screamed, being the first one to say anything. Get down from there and let's get the hell out of here. My shoulders drooped. What, did they just not care, then? Screw these guys. I knew it was a cool dream, so there. Zoro was smiling all funny like. At least Zoro gets me. Thanks, Zoro. Okay, first, I took a quick look around to see where Jaw Guy was. He still wasn't moving. Phew, lame. I made sure to push down on my hat so that it wouldn't fly away and leapt over to where Nami and the others were standing. She lost her balance and almost fell over. Did I startle her or something? Maybe I moved too quickly. I heard the sound of guns being cocked. The Marines had us surrounded. Their guns and stuff were all aimed at our heads. Why you? A Marine guy called out to us, trembling. Pirate, are you recruiting the pirate hunter Zoro? Is that why you're here? I scratched the back of my head. That too, I guess. Zoro had a really big frown on his face. But more than that, I continued. I just really wanted to beat you guys up. I did that already, so I guess I'll go now. Luffy-san, Kobe whispered in a really panicked voice. You didn't need to tell them that. Let's just. The Marines nearby all looked pretty angry, but none of them had the time to say anything. Crash. The building that I destroyed crumbled a little bit more. A bunch of guys were coming out from the rubble. Hey, weren't those the pirate guys from the cells? They didn't look too great, though. They had bruises and cuts all over them and they were moving kind of sluggishly. Enemy pirate crew. Enemies, 22/22. Captain, 1/1. Captain Alvida, HP, 1934/33. I scrunched my face. Get out of my face, I can't see. I grumbled at the mystery square. Geez, it's easy enough to ignore you usually, but you show up at the worst times. The pirates have escaped. A Marine with a hat and funny handlebar mustache shouted. He was standing all important like, so it made sense that he was in charge, sort of. Forget that kid for now. If he doesn't have any business here anymore, then we have more immediate concerns. Responsibilities be damned. Don't allow a single one of those jailbreakers to get off the base. The pirate guys all had creepy smiles on their faces even though they were obviously tired. I didn't know if they were carrying their own weapons or if they just found those lying around somewhere after escaping, but they were definitely armed. The really fat lady that Kobe thought was Yamato stepped in front of the group with a big, spiky bat. For a moment, the pirates and Marines had some sort of standoff. I decided to cross my arms and wait for them to do something. I pouted and tried to ignore Nami punching my arm and telling me to move. If those pirates were gonna say that they were looking for the One Piece too and the Marines gave a different reaction for some reason, I'd be mad. After a while, Fat Lady eventually smiled and stood to the side. That annoying mushroom head with the funny butt chin from earlier was standing super stiffly behind her. Was he here this whole time? If so, I didn't even notice. I have a hostage, Fat Lady announced. Let us through or the toothpick gets it. Butt chin whimpered. Why you, Marines? You better do as she says, or Daddy will get angry. The Marine with the handlebar mustache looked to the rubble where Jaw Guy was buried. Men, raise your arms. Ache, you fool, what do you think you're doing? Do you want to die? Save me, Fat Lady, and the other pirates didn't seem too upset about the Marines not wanting to save the hostage. They all looked pretty ready for a fight. I stopped paying attention to them and looked away. They probably weren't gonna bring up the One Piece then. So, the whole thing with Zoro was done with now. Yamato wasn't here, and it wasn't like Kobe or Nami had any business with this place. We can go now, right? The three were caught off guard by what I said. Nami blinked. Oh, well, yeah. Why, is there something wrong? No, I just didn't think. Think what? Forget it. It's nothing. Okay. I stretched my arms into the air and yawned as I started walking toward the exit. Kobe and Nami ran ahead a bit while Zoro stayed a little farther back so that he could stare at me strangely. I could still hear the Marines and pirates talking behind me. Kayahoha. The Fat Lady laughed in her very distinctive voice. You lot aren't very lucky, are you? I don't know what happened here, but my boys and I aren't complaining. Once we're through with you, we'll be taking what we need from this town and getting back out at sea. I stopped in my tracks. Come to think of it, if these guys got away and started messing up the village, then that would be bad too, right? There was no point in teaching the Marine guy a lesson if pirates were just gonna come around and ruin stuff anyway. That settled that, then. I spun on my heel and started marching back toward the center of the field. It took Nami and Kobe a moment to realize, but when they did, hey, what are you doing? Hey. Zoro still wasn't saying much. He just followed behind me quietly for now. Fat Lady was the first one to notice us coming their way. She frowned. Huh, you're the disrespectful brat from earlier, aren't you? What are you anyway, some sort of cabin boy? You should have run along while you had the chance. The Marines turned around. Most of them were giving me funny looks. Shit, that kid is still here. What now? Sir, he hasn't left yet. I can see that. Handlebar shouted. I ignored the Marines for now and walked up to the Fat Lady. Hey, Fat Lady. Everyone was quiet all of a sudden. Even the pirates. A vein popped on her forehead. She glared down at me. You're still saying shit like that when I'm right in front of you? Huh? She forgot that she was holding Mushroom Head and let him go. He squealed and ran off somewhere. In a split second, she suddenly went from standing still to swinging her arm and trying to nail me with the spiky bat. I stepped to the side and let it hit the spot that I was just standing on. The ground cracked and it made a big cloud of smoke. Men, get back, Handlebar shouted. He ran forward and grabbed Mushroom Head by the back of his shirt. The pirates tried to stop them from leaving right as the Marines started to move away, but they couldn't. Zoro ran ahead. He had a sword in each hand and one in his in his mouth. He was carrying that sword in his mouth. My new crewmate was the coolest guy. All the pirates that tried to run after the Marines were too busy trying to deal with Zoro. He was too strong for them, and so they couldn't do much to slow him down once he started slicing them up. Your orders, Captain. There was a funny feeling in my chest, but it was a good feeling. I smiled. So this was what it felt like to be called Captain. For real. Zoro, take them out. I'll deal with this ugly hag. She tried to hit me reflexively when I made fun of her again, but her eyes widened a moment later. Hey, Zoro, as in Roronoa Zoro, the pirate hunter. You think you're some sort of hotshot bounty hunter, kid? Huh, no way. I'm a pirate. She took a moment to flip her head back and forth between us. Then she looked at the Marine guys who were all trying to stay out of the way. She laughed. Now I've really seen it all. Someone as scrawny as you thinks that he can be a oof. I punched her in the face. She crumpled down to the ground right away. She's not moving. Everything was quiet, so I looked around, trying to find Zoro. He was standing a little further away with all the pirate guys knocked out at his feet. That was pretty quick. He was actually pretty strong like everyone was saying then. I'm glad. It only makes sense for someone who fights that coolly to be strong. He took a few deep breaths. Everything sorted, Captain? If so, I'd appreciate it if we could leave. Roronoa Zoro. HP 766 over 6 854 He looked pretty bad, still. He was tied up for a while, wasn't he? When was the last time he ate anything? If I tried to go more than just a little while without eating, I'd die for sure. The Marines were glaring at us. Some looked angry, some scared, others not so much, but none of them were really moving to do anything. Hopefully they tied up those pirate guys again before they woke up. It would suck for them, otherwise. Yeah, sure, I answered. Nami and Kobe popped up from out of nowhere and grabbed both of us by the arm. Great, Nami shouted. Let's do that, then. Watch it, Zoro hissed. Nami was pulling pretty hard without slowing down. Zoro and I had to skip forward pretty awkwardly so that we didn't step on our own feet or anything. I looked over my shoulder one last time. I didn't know why the Marines weren't trying to stop us. I did say that I was a pirate, didn't I? Wasn't arresting me the whole point. But I didn't care enough to think about it too much. It was their problem, not mine. Hold it. Nami stopped pulling me once she heard the voice. Zoro and Kobe stopped too. The Marine guys all looked pretty scared about something or other. Past all the knocked out pirates, the rubble further away started to move. The jackass with the funny jaw finally decided to get up. The Marines all started to get scared again. They didn't like this guy either. I could understand why. He looked pretty bad right now. I hit him kind of hard earlier, so it made sense. He was obviously having trouble standing straight. And the cool metal jaw fell right off his face. I looked away and covered my mouth. TFFT. He had the same funny chin as Mushroom Head. What are you laughing at? Don't think for a second that you. Go to sleep, now. A quest has been updated. Objective. Find all clues leading to the truth of the Shellstown Marine Base. Clues found. A fifth. A quest flag has been raised. Objective. Completion rewards. Error. Files for this quest have been corrupted. The system cannot calculate rewards at this time. He passed out for real this time. D-Daddy. Mushroom Head screamed. Handlebar held him back before he could run over to the big jerk. Handlebar looked back at us one last time before turning around and pretending that we weren't there. Arrest Captain Morgan and Iron Mace Alvida first. We don't want them waking up before we have them restrained. We could leave for real this time, then. I decided to go back to the bar and tell that lady that I found Zoro and that the Marines wouldn't be jerks anymore. I took one step forward and stopped. Hold on, would they stop being jerks now? I beat them up, so that meant that they were supposed to do what I wanted. But did they know that they were supposed to do what I wanted? I pouted and flicked my upper lip with a finger. Oh well, if they didn't, then I'd just beat them up again. Once we were outside, I could see a crowd gathering around the gates of the base. The villagers were acting all nervous and muttering stuff to each other. They probably heard some really loud noises from what I had done and decided to take a look. Could it be that Captain Morgan is? Suddenly, they all cheered. All four of us were surprised, or at least I was, because it came out of nowhere. The girl from the tavern was there. She ran up to us with a toothy smile. Rika, I heard her mom shout. Careful. The girl didn't listen. She stopped right in front of Zoro. Dai-chan, you're okay. For a moment, he just kept a straight face. Eventually, though, he let a tiny grin shine through. You can thank this guy. He pointed at me. She swiveled to the side and we had a short staring contest. Her smile got even wider. Straw Hat Oniasan, you're super duper strong. So cool. She saw that? I puffed out my chest and tilted my head up. Of course. Shishishi. Nami was giving me a funny look. Kobe swung his head back and forth between us. Those meanies didn't stand a chance. It was all bam, bam, pow. You were like some sort of superhero, she said. Her eyes were glittering. I immediately shot forward and grabbed her by the shoulders. Everyone around me was tense. Zoro, Nami, Kobe, and the villagers. Lame. A hero. Fat chance. Her face was blank. If I'm a hero, then I gotta share my stuff and be all virtual, right? There's no way that. Oof. Nami slapped the back of my head. It's virtuous, not virtual, dumbass. And what sort of ass-backwards distinction is that to be making in front of a child? There was silence, and then the crowd laughed. We're free. Morgan's finally gotten what he deserves. We'll call you whatever you want, Straw Hat. Good job, Straw Hat. Straw Hat. Straw Hat. Shishishishi. It's so good. I cried out. My mouth was already stuffed full of meat, but the second I could fit any more, I'd start chowing down on the roast. Or maybe the steak. They both looked great. Both. It would be hard to fit all at once, but I could try. How in the hell are you eating more than me, you weirdo? I paused with my fingers halfway wrapped around the steak. Zoro stared at me with a toothy frown. His eyes still looked pretty dead, but he already seemed to be in a much better shape than earlier. I'm the one who's starving, not you, he explained. I didn't get his point. You want to give me your food. Did it sound like I said anything remotely similar to that? The tavern lady laughed and put down another plate of food between us. Eat up, she said. It's on the house, you know. Take however much you want. I grinned. Yeah, thanks. Nami leaned forward and sighed. We appreciate it, Ririka-san, but you really can cut them off if you want. They're definitely overindulging. I was literally starving to death. Zoro snapped at her, but she ignored him. Hey, Oni-chan. I quickly swallowed whatever food was left in my mouth and looked at the girl pulling at my leg. You beat up those jerks, right? How did you do it? All the people around the tavern were obviously listening to us now. I could tell they were curious even though they weren't saying anything or turning towards us. I flexed my arm and grabbed it by the shoulder. I punched them, really hard. The girl's eyes sparkled. Hua, did Bad Axe Man say that he would stop being mean? It would be kind of hard for him to be mean after what I did to him. Yeah, I gave her a thumbs up, something like that. The others didn't seem as impressed even though that really was what I did. The girl's mom smiled at us again. She grabbed her daughter by the shoulder and pulled her away. All the other guys that were listening to us stopped paying attention too. Kobe waited for a moment, then whipped his head back and forth. He leaned forward and whispered in a shaky voice, "Hey, now that it's just us, would you mind answering a few questions?" I blinked. Sure, I guess. Do you have a plan to get off the island? I tilted my head to the side. What a strange question. No, should I have something like that? He covered his face with his hands and whined. Of course, the people here only care about half the story, and it's the part about Marine Base Captain Morgan having been defeated. You destroyed a Navy naval base. That'll totally get you in trouble no matter why you did it. I've asked around, and apparently Captain Morgan was particularly disliked by his men. But even if they didn't try to stop us from leaving at the time, they'll definitely be trying to arrest us later. In fact, isn't it kind of irresponsible to be sticking around for this long? Clues found, 2/5. Find all 5 clues too. Zoro cleared his throat. More importantly, don't pretend this isn't a problem. Kobe complained. You said your name is Luffy, right? What's your deal, exactly? Zoro was staring at me strangely when he asked. My deal, I repeated. Yeah, what do you gain from doing all of this? Weren't you at all worried about the risks involved in attacking a world government building? There must have been something there that would make a pirate think that it was worth taking the risk. Kobe and Nami mentioned something like that before I went and did it. I still didn't understand. Risk. What risk? Nothing was on the line for me. I wasn't risking anything. I didn't like them and I thought they were doing something bad, so I went and stopped them from doing that. There was nothing holding me back, right? Should I have done something else instead? I asked. I was curious. Nami looked like she was ready to say something right away, but she ended up saying nothing at all. How should I know? You didn't answer my question, Zoro said instead. His question? Oh, you saw it before they arrested you, right? How the Marines were treating these people. Zoro made the mistake of crossing his arms, so I took some food off of his plate while he was all tangled up. He made a face, but not much more than that. Lucky, for a reason like that, you went so far. Not for treasure or anything. He asked. It sounded like he was judging me. That's just stupid. Kobe raised a hand. But didn't you pretty much do the same thing? Zoro blushed. Why, no, it's not the same thing at all. It just so happened I roughed up someone kind of important because they were flaunting themselves annoyingly right in front of my eyes. But when they tried to arrest me, I let them. I'm not some sort of criminal. A character profile has been updated. Roronoa Zoro. Find all clues leading to the truth of Roronoa Zoro's arrest. Clues found, a third. Affiliation. That was a bit worrying. Zoro wasn't very smart. But you are, though. You just joined my crew. He made a face like he just swallowed a lemon. Everyone just watched me eat quietly for a moment. It was kinda weird. Zoro scoffed. I can respect that, I suppose. You're both morons, then, Nami said flatly. Zoro raised his eyebrows. Pretty disrespectful way for someone to address their captain, don't you think? Nami stood up and slammed her hands on the table. The tavern was pretty loud right now, so it didn't cause much of a fuss. He's not my captain. I was just tagging along for a while, is all. Zoro looked over to Kobe. The kid swung his arms out in front of him. I am not part of the crew either. He looked at me. What's up with that? Where's your crew? Kobe answered for me. It's a pretty long story, he said. Luffy-san was looking for his friend, but there was some mix-up, so Nami-san and I were imprisoned along with stragglers from a pirate ship that I was being held captive on. But then, Zoro held his hand up. Stop. I'm not interested. I guess now the last thing I want to know is how a kid like you is strong enough to tear a naval base apart with his bare hands in the first place. All 3 of them were looking at me all serious-like. That's pretty normal, isn't it? No, they all denied quickly. Nami sat down properly again. Luffy, you ate a devil fruit, didn't you? It's why you can stretch like that. So I wasn't hallucinating. Zoro mumbled under his breath. I nodded. That's right. Could it be because of that? She asked. Sure, the stretching bit is freaky, but it's not all that impressive on its own. I've always heard of devil fruits being things that grant people power beyond their wildest dreams. So isn't it possible that it gave you super strength in addition to giving you the material properties of rubber? I thought about it for a second. Did it? Probably not, right? I was a rubber man. Rubber was just rubber, so. I slapped the bottom of my fist into my palm and nodded. No clue. Sorry, Nami sighed. Figures. The tavern doors swung open loudly enough to get everyone's attention. Everyone in the room turned at the same time. There was some guy standing there, bent over. He was breathing heavily and his eyes were wide open. He looked pretty out of breath. The Marines, he announced before taking a few gasps of breath. Commander Ripper is leading a platoon this way as we speak. The other people in the tavern started to get upset. What, do you think they're coming for the Straw Hat Kid? Don't they have any shame? As if they'd be able to do anything. The tavern lady and her daughter both stood nervously near the bar. No one knew what to expect from what was about to happen. Sure enough, the Marines came in. Everyone quieted down right away. Some of them had bandages wrapped up in obvious places, but it wasn't too bad considering that everything happened just a little while ago. None of the guys that came seemed to be too hurt. Handlebar was leading the group. He looked at me right away. I could tell that Nami and Kobe were super nervous all of a sudden. Zoro didn't look too bothered, but I saw his hand reach for one of his swords under the table. "Ew, the kid in the straw hat," Handlebar called out to me. I stared at him and decided to let him say whatever he felt like he needed to say. "You've caused us a lot of trouble, but you've also manhandled our forces, taken down a man thrice your size, and wiped out an entire pirate crew with your bare hands. Even if we wanted to arrest you, we wouldn't be able to. Legends of the devil fruit certainly were not exaggerated." I tapped my chin. Did I use my devil fruit around these guys? I couldn't remember. Zoro leaned forward a bit. The Marines behind Handlebar got a bit spooked. "So?" my crewmate asked. "Why bother coming here, then?" Handlebar did a good job of keeping a straight face. "We're here to ask the straw-hatted boy if he meant what he said about his ambitions of being the Pirate King." The people in the tavern gasped. They must not have heard me mention it earlier. "Yeah, I meant it," I told him simply. He closed his eyes and sighed. "It's not like we don't appreciate what you've done. We wanted Captain Morgan gone just as much as everyone else." Made sense. He was a jerk to these guys too. Handlebar opened his eyes and stared straight at me. "But even so," he said, "if there's a superhuman going around and announcing his intentions of ruling the seas so explicitly, then we have an obligation to take it seriously. I have acted on my duty as the provisional head of this Marine branch and have reported you to headquarters. If you don't already have one, you'll probably end up with a hefty bounty on your head." The people around the tavern didn't take it great. "Duty? What a load of horse shit. Where was your sense of duty when you were running out town into poverty? Is there any way to thank the one who saved us? You Marines are a bunch of crooks." The Marines took the harsh words without reacting much. Handlebar didn't took away. "Hold it," Kobe stuttered out. "But I'm nada." He trailed off, not wanting to say something, so Nami picked up from there. "They're not gonna give us a bounty, right? We didn't even do anything. It was all this doofus' fault." I blinked. "Why wouldn't you want a bounty? Why would you?" Handlebar butted in quickly before I could ask something else. "The rest of you probably won't be getting bounties, no. Our report didn't go into extensive detail or anything. Anything that we could allow ourselves to ignore, we did, yourselves included." That seemed to be enough for Nami. She and Kobe leaned back into their chairs and sighed. "Why bother coming to tell us all of this?" asked Zoro. "We're scary pirates. We might attack you if you upset us on purpose, right?" Handlebar didn't say anything. I grinned and got up. All the tavern people that were complaining stopped talking right away once I started walking toward him slowly. He clenched his jaw but didn't take a step back. "Okay," I said. "Thanks for letting us know, Handlebar. We're probably gonna leave soon, anyway." Handlebar's shoulders drooped. "Just a little bit. I see. We'll leave you to it, then. Take as much time as you need. We won't force you out or anything as long as you have plans to move on. Not that we could do anything to start with." The Marines left silently. They were given dirty looks on their way out. The second they were gone, the little girl ran up to us. "It's not fair," she said. "You're not leaving right away, are you?" "That's right," someone in the tavern shouted. "If nothing else, let's have a party first. You lot can leave in the morning." Lots of people seemed to like that idea. The tavern lady clapped her hands. "I wouldn't mind keeping the shop open tonight." "Yeah." Nami leaned over and whispered into my ear. "Hey, just because they said that they wouldn't try to arrest us doesn't mean that they won't call for reinforcements or something. Leaving now would be smart." I looked at her seriously. "We can't do that, Nami." She blinked. "Why not?" "Because there's gonna be a party." "That's a stupid reason." Zoro interrupted her anger by dropping one of those wooden beer mug things in front of her. "Ease up a little bit, will ya? Have a drink." She frowned. "You aren't seriously going along with this, are you?" He ignored her. "Hey, kid, what's the long face for?" Kobe noticed that Zoro was talking to him. He seemed like he was thinking hard about something but snapped out of it. "Oh, it's nothing." I was just trying to figure out why the Marines came to say all of those things. If they were serious about being against the old captain's regime, then they should be trying to repair relations with the townspeople, right? The only thing this accomplished was making themselves out to be even bigger villains. Zoro threw back an entire wooden beer mug thing in one go, slammed it down, and let out a happy breath. Who knows? He answered. Maybe they were trying to atone, somehow. Besides, the state that Captain left that base in isn't something that anyone would be able to cover up. Sometimes pride isn't all about saving face. My new crew member was a pretty interesting guy, wasn't he? I was done listening in. I got up to find the tavern lady and ask her for some more food. I'd eat as much as I could until morning. See ya. Thanks for the food. I waved my arm back and forth excitedly. The bar lady, her daughter, and a few of the people from town waved back as we slowly drifted away from shore. I had to do enough waving for all four of us since Zoro was sleeping. Nami was trying to wake him up, and Kobe was freaking out about something or other. They were nice, I said. Why is this really safe? Kobe squeaked. I really don't think that there's enough room in this rowboat for 4 people. Zoro yawned and stretched out his arms. If you stopped moving around so much, there would be more room. Nami shoved a paddle into his chest. You, why the hell were you asleep? If we don't row, we're not getting anywhere. Damn, you're loud, he mumbled. What's the big deal? If the tides are calm, it's only normal to doze off a little, isn't it? We just got in the boat. You're a strange one, woman. Why'd you even get on the boat in the first place if you're so insistent that you're not a part of the crew? She froze. I saw Nami's eyes glaze over. Then she exploded. I totally let myself get dragged into the swing of things. I zoned out. Let me off. Turn the boat around. She was flailing. Kobe would get knocked off the boat at this rate. I held my belly and laughed. So, Captain, Zoro spoke, trying to get my attention over the noises that Nami was making. Where to next? I hummed. Not sure. He frowned. Not sure. What I mean? You're supposed to be a pirate captain, right? If you're serious about being the pirate king or whatever, then we'll have to head towards the Grand Line at the very least. Nami stopped shouting and crossed her arms in an X shape. Not until I get off this boat, she said. I still need to find a marine branch that will take me. Kobe added. I'm talking about an end goal here. Zoro barked. You people can do whatever you want. Well, yeah, sure, I agreed. The issue is, my friend got lost and we need her to come with us. He nodded slowly. Another crew member. You should have just said that earlier. I tried to. Kobe whined. Right. Zoro didn't know. That was something that I should explain to him properly. He and Yamato would get along great. Probably. Before I could say anything though. Notice, your bounty is currently being revaluated. Destruction of world government property, plus BH, 5,000,000. Defeated enemies, plus BH, 900. Defeated enemies, plus BH, 10. Infamy, total, TBD, has been unlocked. You have asked to join your crew. Charisma check. Pass. Infamy check. Pass. Has joined your crew. I smiled. The gargantuan man took another swig of sake from his gourd and hiccup. As drunk as he was, not a soul would be foolish enough to mistake his inebriation for weakness. Few members of his crew would dare to come to bother him, especially considering his poor mood. Kaido-sama. That is, unless they thought something important enough to risk his ire. Bao Huang, the man slurred. The short, masked woman bowed. Forgive me. I come with information that you will most certainly like to hear. Well, spit it out. He wasn't in the mood for games. Bao Huang seemed to understand that. She visibly trembled and forced herself to spit out what needed to be said. The Marines contacted us regarding the boy that stole away the young master. He's caused some damage somewhere in the East Blue, and it would seem that they're intent on giving him a bounty. Kaido leaned forward. Get me on a call with them. This was just as much about sending a message as it was about everything else. He would have that brat captured by any means necessary. The role that I have meticulously crafted for you is not one that you can throw away so easily, Yamato. I was too inattentive to stop you from running off with some boy, but no more. You are my successor, you belong to me. You will rule Wano country, and he has no place in that reality. Bao Huang handed the large man a photograph and a document. He brought them up to his face and sneered. Monkey D. Luffy, huh, what a funny turn of events. Despite his words, he didn't seem to be amused. He snarled, Yamato does not belong to you. The masked woman stood awkwardly to the side as her boss continued to wallow in his drunken self-pity. It was times like these that made her question his interpretation of his heir's situation. Fleet Admiral Sengoku was not having a great time. The man stared down at the documents on his desk, an updated list of bounties that would be made public by the time that the news crews start delivering the morning paper. There was one name on this list in particular that stood at the forefront of his mind. The fact that it was here at all was bothersome. Irrespective of the bounty tacked onto it, it was long past the point where he could do anything about it. Monkey D. Luffy, Garp's grandson, He'd been preparing for this day. For all that Garp liked to pretend that the boy would be an upstanding Marine one day, it was clear where his influences lay. Pirate Emperor, red-haired Shanks, 2nd Division Captain of the Whitebeard Pirates, Fire Fist Ace. The hero of the Marines was great at being just that, but as far as turning his family away from rebellion went, he might as well have not bothered to try at all. The man's own son and the kid's father, Dragon, was the most wanted man in the world, for crying out loud. He had expected the day that Garp's grandson became a pirate, but the thought filled him with dread regardless. After all, he'd have to be the one to tell the man that the boy flipped him off. Whether Garp saw it coming or not was irrelevant. He would throw a tantrum either way. Only, what the hell does Kaido have to do with any of this? The kid's bounty was never going to be a small one, sure. He had destroyed a Marine base single-handedly while being unarmed too if the reports were to be believed. And while such a feat wasn't anything out of the ordinary for someone of that lineage, it was certainly an anomaly in the East Blue of all places. Relative to the competition, Monkey D. Luffy would be a premier target of the local authorities for however little time he spent there before heading out to the Grand Line, which he would inevitably do. This bounty wasn't large, though. It was comically overblown, egregiously high. No rookie upstart should have a bounty like this in the blues. It could threaten the very balance of the world if things were left to escalate from here. As the fleet admiral, his list was much more than just a pile of bounty posters. He had a detailed list of the crimes committed as well as the reports offered by the officers responsible for issuing the bounty in the first place. Sometimes, there would be additional notes in case of situations that went beyond the pale where the officer would offer official, written justifications for issuing commands that went beyond their discretionary remit. One such note was right here. Emperor of the Sea, Kaido, has reached out and asked that a bounty of 500 million belly be placed on the head of one Monkey D. Luffy to be paid out of his own pocket. Rear Admiral Sicily has ordered that we do not outright deny the request in order to maintain working relations with the Beast Pirates, though Kaido refused to divulge his reasons for the request. As such, we were able to lower the number significantly. On top of the original 6 million belly issued, an additional 150 million belly will be added for a total of 156 million belly. Kaido insists that the pirate must be captured alive. As the criminal in question is an East Blue irregularity, we do not anticipate great risk in sorting out this issue promptly. A hand-picked retrieval squad will be sent to capture Monkey D. Luffy post-haste so as not to allow the bounty to cause any unrest in local waters. Signed, Commander Brandu, Navy Headquarters. Sengoku's fingers were digging into his desk. The wood finish began to chip. Honestly, seeing his men act according to the whims of a pirate infuriated him. The world government was far from a perfect organization. He wasn't so blind as to not acknowledge at least that much. But moments like these really cemented that fact. He understood why they did it. He understood why he was expected to look the other way. That did not change the fact that they were playing a very dangerous game. These fools. Sure, if everything went according to plan, Monkey D. Luffy wouldn't be a problem for long enough for anyone to notice. As was mentioned, an East Blue pirate, no matter the reason why or how he got on the bad side of an Emperor of the Sea, would not be able to hold a candle to the strength of the Grand Line. This was Garp's grandson, however. Did they miss the part where it said that he toppled a Marine base single-handedly? The kid was an upstart hooligan that would be given public attention on the same scale as someone of the renown of a warlord. Hooligan or not, they better hunt him down with the same ferocity they would an actual warlord, if they didn't squash that reputation immediately before it could be given the chance to fester. Who could tell how much this shitshow would snowball? There was a knock at his door, the heavy wood flagging at the force of what was presumably meant to be a gentle rap. Sengoku forced himself to calm down. "Come in, Garp." A behemoth of a man walked through the entrance, bowing his head so as not to crack his head against the doorframe. Though he was obviously getting on in years, the youthful spark in his eye was still clear for all to see. What's up?" Garp was holding a bag of crackers. His large, meaty fingers rummaged through its contents for a moment before finally flicking a few into his mouth. His loud chewing was quite obnoxious. The fleet admiral did little else but sigh, though he would have loved to have given the man a dressing down over his manners. "It's about your grandson, Luffy." Garp's jaw froze mid-crunch. Instead of elaborating, Sengoku slid the handwritten note to the man. It took him little time to read it. Slowly, Garp's curious expression morphed into a pout. "Bah, not my problem." "Huh." The large man turned to leave and waved his hand over his shoulder dismissively. "I warned that brat, but he doesn't listen. I'll beat some sense into him the next time I head out." "I don't think you understand, Garp." The man in question paused with his hand on the door. He looked over his shoulder to see Sengoku frowning at him seriously. "There won't be a next time. He has a bounty that sits well over 100 million. And we're going to have to treat him like a man whose head is worth that much. You understand that, don't you?" Garp scoffed. He shot back a parting remark before the door was shut behind him. "Don't get your hopes too high. Click. Sengoku didn't know how to take that. Now left to his own devices, he spent the next while toiling over whether he would order the rear admiral to double his task force at the risk of making himself out to be an overly cautious loon. The poor man groaned and pinched the bridge of his nose tiredly. Hey, Nami, are we? Yes, we're almost there. Can you stop asking now? I stuck my tongue out at her and covered my ears. She could yell really loud. She's right, Kobe shouted. The kid leaned over the side of the boat and pointed at something in the distance. There's the island, right over there. I crawled over Zoro's body to get a better look. He was shouting at me to get off, but I thought it would be okay to ignore him for just a second longer so that I could make out what I was looking at. I smiled. Awesome. Zoro had enough. He let go of the oar that he was holding and tried to push me off. I rolled off of him before he could. This place was pretty close after all, I thought out loud. It's pretty lucky that there would be another place with a marine base so close by. Kobe's eyes lit up. I could tell that he was looking forward to this after all that stuff that he was put through before. Nami gave me a half-baked smile. Yeah, crazy how that worked out, right? What's this place called again? Zoro asked, rubbing his chin. He either forgot that he was in charge of rowing the boat or just wanted to take a break. Orange Village. Orange Town, Nami corrected. I slapped a fist into the palm of my hand. I'm gonna ask the townspeople if they know anything about Yamato. She probably came this way too. Zoro started rowing again. You know, Luffy, if you keep asking around for a tall lady with a bat, you're not going to get anywhere. Be more specific or else no one's going to know what you're talking about. I blinked and thought about it for a second. My eyes widened. Seriously? You haven't had any luck so far, have you? I nodded. Okay, thanks for the advice, then. I'll That's a funny looking ship. Me saying that caught everyone's attention. No one else noticed it until now, I guessed. It was covered in colors and patterns and stripes and stuff. We were getting pretty close to it now. There was a Jolly Roger on the sail. Clown. That ship looked like a clown. A clown ship. Were there clowns on that clown ship? There must have been. Oh, they probably danced and sang and did clown stuff. That sounded like fun. I really hoped that we could meet them sometime. Maybe we could have a party. There would be meat. If their ship was that big, they definitely had meat. There's a pirate crew on this island, Zoro observed. Kobe and Nami both looked a little white in the face. I recognize that flag. Kobe squeaked. It's the Buggy Pirates. They're one of the most notorious pirate crews on the East Blue. Zoro yawned. Those guys, I've heard of them. The captain's head's worth 15 million. I hummed. Clowns were pretty tough, apparently. Is that a lot? It is, Nami told me. She looked all serious like. You aren't going to find many pirate captains with bounties higher than that. They're all monsters. Wow, I didn't know. Maybe this Buggy guy was actually a really popular clown. We reached the shore right next to the giant ship. Nami stuck out her foot and pulled us toward the docks while Zoro stored away the oars. The second that I could, I jumped out to stretch my legs. Man, I shouted. It's pretty cramped in that tiny thing. We wouldn't even be able to dance on this boat if we ended up partying with the clown guys. A bigger boat would be good, then. We should try looking for one after we found ourselves a cook and a musician. Nami was walking off somewhere. She was pretty quiet and was doing a suspiciously good job of not getting seen by the other two, but I could still hear her moving. I was about to ask what she was up to. Hey, who the hell are you people? I froze with my hands still in the air. I turned my head around to see a couple of rough-looking guys marching up to us. Pirate Troublemaker, HP 689 700th. Pirate Delinquent LV22, HP 644 650. Pirate Goon, HP 999 over 150. They were holding weapons. Were they trying to fight or something? Kobe shrieked and stumbled onto his butt. Nami lowered her hand to the side of her skirt and Zoro grabbed the handle of one of his swords. Before we beat them up, I had to ask. I'm Luffy. Nice to meet you, I greeted them back. Have you three seen Yamato anywhere? They looked at each other with scrunched up faces. They were acting like they didn't understand what I said for some reason. No luck. It was just as bad as how I was asking before. What gives? Didn't Zoro tell me to be more direct? I heard Zoro groan behind me. That's not what I meant when I told you to. Never mind. One of the pirate guys growled. Quit trying to distract us. You don't have a ship. You're not normal sailors. You three must be bounty hunters after the captain's head. I stuck my tongue out at them. No way. We're pirates. Speak for yourself. Nami whispered angrily. The three of them looked at us with narrowed eyes. It looked like they were trying to think long and hard about something. But they eventually gave up and charged at us with their weapons swinging around in the air. Zoro unsheathed his three swords. They stopped in their tracks, wide-eyed. No way. Is that? They weren't able to say anything else. They were cut down in an instant by my new crewmate. These guys probably weren't dead or anything, but it didn't look like they would be getting up anytime soon. Chi, so much for the party. Nami let out a deep sigh and helped Kobe up to his feet. A beach or a shoreline is one thing, but it's a bit surprising to see pirates acting so openly at the docks of a big town like this one, she said. If they're a crew like the buggy pirates, I don't like what that spells for the people that live here. Zoro stared down at the guys that he took down for a few moments longer before putting his weapons away. I've seen this happen a few times, he shared. It's actually not that uncommon for a pirate crew to take over a small town or village and make it their base of operations for a while. It's tough for the locals to put up much of a fight, and by the time the authorities are alerted, the pirates have already taken off again. I frowned a little. It was a little funny to think that Shanks did something like that. Kind of, though obviously, Shanks turned out to be way cooler than these guys. We started walking through the town. It was totally abandoned. Aside from those pirates from earlier, I didn't see a single person. Silently, we followed behind Nami. She wasn't looking back at us. As time went on, everyone was getting a little more uncomfortable. Or at least, Nami and Kobe were. Zoro was acting the same as ever, but I could tell that he was probably thinking the same thing as me. There isn't a marine base on this island, is there? When I asked that, she stopped moving. The girl turned around. Instead of answering my question, she asked one of her own. This is being a pirate. You understand that, don't you? Whenever you go around telling people what you think you are without a care in the world, this is what they'll think. They'll think of things like this because it's true. Zoro stayed quiet, though Kobe tried to come to my defense. Come on, now, isn't that a bit uncalled for? Luffy-san is a nice guy. He's proven that he's more than... Yeah, I answered her, interrupting Kobe. I scratched my ear. If people think that, it's fine. I am a pirate, though, she snarled. Up until now, Nami had been trying to smile around us as much as possible. That changed now. How can you put up with being compared to these pigs? Do you idolize this behavior? Don't you see how awful all of this is? Of course I do. Then why? Because this way, I'm free. She marched up to me and grabbed the collar of my vest. She was huffing and puffing. Freedom isn't worth all these lives. I blinked. No, but it's worth mine. Your bond status with Nami has changed from 2. Your bond status with Zoro has changed from 2. She let go of me. In the same motion, Nami pushed me away. She took a step backward. Then another. There is no marine base on this island. I just brought you here because it was convenient for me. I didn't say anything and neither did Zoro. Kobe seemed pretty rattled, though. But, Nami-san, I thought you... I lied. I didn't want to spend any more time around a bunch of filthy pirates than I had to. I brought you to the closest island and it was my intention to make myself scarce the moment we touched land. I would have been gone by now if it weren't for those weirdos at the docks. So yeah, see ya. She ended on an awkward note. Almost suddenly, she turned around and ran away. Nami disappeared between 2 buildings. I didn't budge. Zoro grunted. Stupid girl. She wouldn't have gotten far if one of us bothered to chase after her. Kobe was wide-eyed. Did she just abandon us here? But Zoro yawned. I could go for some booze. I tapped my chin. I wonder if any of these houses still have food stocked in their fridges. I wondered out loud. They didn't look like they were in awful condition or anything, so maybe I could still find something fresh. Zoro smiled. Good thinking, Captain. How are you two acting as if nothing happened? Kobe shouted. We both paused for a moment. Zoro patted Kobe on the back encouragingly. Take things as they come to you, kid. We'll take a minute to rest. Then we'll be off again. I'm sure we'll find a place for you to enlist. The pink-haired boy looked happy to hear it at first, but then he lost himself in thought. Thanks, I appreciate that you two are doing this for me. You're pirates, and even though I want to be a marine, He wasn't able to finish his sentence. Zoro slapped him on the back again. Zip it, would you? Pirate or not, that has nothing to do with it. The kid blinked. I mean, if you say, Luffy-san. What are you doing? I froze with half my body through the window of a nearby house. What do you mean? That's your... Zoro pushed him toward me. We just went over this. Are you coming in or not? I didn't realize that you... Anyway, it's wrong. Who's gonna care? Well, I laughed and pulled him in. Hua. Zoro let out a satisfied sigh as he dropped onto the couch of whoever used to live here with a big bottle of booze in hand. Kobe was still acting kind of nervous, but I was sure that he'd come around eventually. My eyes narrowed as I looked through the kitchen fridge. I found some crackers in the cabinets, but I was really hoping for something more. There were some condiments here, sauces, juice. I smiled and pulled out a thick slab of ham. Lucky, I didn't bother to sniff it before putting it in my mouth, but it tasted just fine. This house couldn't have been abandoned for that long after all. Once I turned around and pulled out a chair for myself, Kobe lifted his hand. Luffy-san, do you think that maybe, I don't know, that you'll be going after Nami? To try to get her to travel with us again, I mean. She couldn't possibly be planning on staying on this island by herself, right? There's a dangerous pirate crew here, after all. Zoro crossed his legs and took a swig of whatever alcohol was in that bottle. That woman can take care of herself. The kid didn't seem satisfied with that answer. He was staring at the ground sadly. I don't know. It just felt like something was off or something. Even though she said she didn't like pirates, we were all getting along just fine before, right? It never seemed like she actually hated you or Luffy-san. I lifted the juice carton to my lips to wash down the ham. You can't force someone out to sea, Zoro told him. If you know that the journey is going to be a dangerous one, then relying on someone who doesn't want to be out there watching your back is a good way to end up dead. Kobe sighed. I know that, but it's not like I didn't want Nami to join us, I said after swallowing. I suck at directions, but Nami was pretty good at finding places and stuff. It'll suck to not have her with us, but I agree with Zoro. Besides, I leaned back into the chair's back and shot Zoro a confident smile. If my crew isn't ready for what's coming, we're all gonna die. Tashishi. Zoro put down the bottle and Kobe stammered. What do you mean by that? Captain wants to be the Pirate King, Zoro answered simply. For that, we'd need to find the One Piece, isn't that right? That treasure left behind by the previous Pirate King, Gold Roger, it's somewhere on the Grand Line. Or so the story goes. Anyone treading those waters caught unprepared is bound to die eventually. I nodded. Zoro was pretty knowledgeable about these sorts of things, apparently. Right. Oh, and also, we gotta fight a pirate emperor before all of that. I forgot to mention. Kobe and Zoro were staring at me open-mouthed. Something wrong. Kobe chuckled nervously. I could have sworn I heard you mention a pirate emperor. Haha. I nodded. That's right. We gotta beat him up once we get to the Grand Line or else a bunch of bad stuff will happen. Zoro buried his face in his hands. Damn it, couldn't you have said something about this sooner? Would you care to explain? Shishi. Sorry, it's because of Yamato. Zoro forced himself off the couch and took a seat across from me at the table. This Yamato person, he started. You keep talking about her, but who is she exactly? You say that she's your friend, but there must be more to it than that. Kobe seemed interested too. He joined us at the table quietly. I crossed my arms and hummed. My head tilted from side to side as I thought of the best way to explain this. Yamato and I have been friends for a really long time now, but when I met her, she was being kept locked up by her dad. She hates him a lot. Apparently, he's got a whole island trapped under his thumb and everyone there is miserable. So, is her dad the pirate emperor? Zoro asked, interrupting me. Yeah, that's right. I tried to get back on track. But anyway, Yamato really wants to beat up her dad for being so crappy, except some stuff happened and she's been stuck in the East Blue with me for the past while. So, that's that. I'm gonna help her beat up her dad, then we're gonna find the One Piece. It should be on the way, more or less. Zoro kept a super straight face. Is the One Piece even real? Asked Kobe. He was really quiet. I mean, it's just a myth, right? I didn't answer properly. I just stuck my tongue out at him and blew a raspberry. Zoro collected himself. His shoulders dropped. That's quite the bomb you've dropped on me, Captain. Though I suppose if I plan on becoming the world's greatest swordsman, something like a pirate emperor shouldn't be that big of a deal, right? His smile was shaky, but it wasn't hiding any kind of doubt. He realized how big of a deal this was, but he was willing to go through with it anyway. I made sure to match it with my own. Asking Zoro to join my crew was the right decision after all. We walked back to our boat with bags full of food. Zoro brought a bit too much booze, maybe, but it was fine since there would still be enough meat for me between what the three of us were carrying. I was happy to see that we still had something to set sail on when we got to the docks. Nami didn't take our boat. I was a little surprised, actually. I tried to think of another way for her to have gotten off the island for a moment, but I gave up kind of fast. Oh well, good for us. Ready to head out, Captain? Zoro asked me. He was helping Kobe load everything up. I hummed. Yeah. Does either one of you know where we could find another marine base? I haven't been out to sea for all that long. These guys probably knew their way around the East Blue better than I did. Kobe tapped his chin. Well, I know for a fact that there's a pretty big one in Logtown, but Zoro quirked a brow. But it's really far, the kid finished. We definitely won't be able to make it all the way there on this thing. He pointed at our boat. I see. We need to get a proper ship first, then, I concluded. Any thoughts on how to do that? Zoro asked, scratching his head. That's not usually something that a guy can just get at the drop of a hat, let alone without money. I flashed him a toothy grin. We'll think about that stuff later. Let's just try to find one first. Oh, shouted Kobe. I know. Back when I was sailing under Lady Alvida, there was this one island that we passed by frequently and it always seemed to have an old caravel anchored near a village. I've never seen it go anywhere, so there's a good chance that no one's using it. I slapped my fist into the palm of my hand. Great thinking. We'll go there, then. Wait. We all turned around. The pirate guys from earlier had run up to us. They looked a little beat up from what Zoro had done to them before, and it was obvious that none of them wanted to get too close to us. Oh, it's just you guys. What's up? I hopped in the boat and started messing with the knot keeping us tied to the land. After struggling for a little bit, Zoro slapped my hand away and untied it himself. One of the funny-looking pirates frowned. Slowly, we started to drift away. Wait, you can't leave. We're holding your crewmate hostage. Kobe looked worried. They don't mean. I was drawing a blank. Who are you talking about? I shouted back at them. We were getting far, so it was easier to hear me this way. The orange-haired girl. You're not just gonna let our captain mess her up, right? Right as he said that, my arm stretched out to grab him by the shirt. I held on for a moment without moving. Slowly, he looked down at my hand and his eyes tracked down the length of my arm until they landed on me. His two friends were standing on wobbly legs. Wah. I pulled. He started to stumble forward. His friends tried to hold on to him, but they got dragged along too. All three of them hugged a piling so that they wouldn't get dragged into the water. In the same instant, our boat was rocketed back toward the island and the guy that I was holding onto lurched forward. The other guys tried to hold on to him, but all three of them toppled into the ocean. I didn't bother saying anything to Zoro and Kobe. I got out of the boat quietly. A new quest is now available. Is she your friend? Probably. Nami has been captured by a dangerous pirate crew. Defeat them and get Nami out of there in one piece. Unlocks, completion rewards, plus, bonus rewards. Time limit, 3H, 59M, 58S. Begin now. Yes, no. I took a deep breath. Zoro, let's go save Nami. A new quest has commenced. Buggy liked this quaint little town. He liked it very much. He and his men had only been here for a few weeks, but he had known straight away that this would be a perfect place to make himself at home for the time being. There was no marine base on this island, and none of the villagers were in any position to put up a fight against a group of big, scary pirates. He had barely expended any resources in his effort to clear out the riffraff. His boys were settled in a matter of hours. The blue-haired, clown-themed pirate captain sighed and reclined into his wooden chair. His eyes lazily tracked from side to side, soaking in the sights of his crew having a merry time in this cozy, yet decently sized, tavern that they were calling their base of operations. Booze of all sorts was being cracked open left and right. None of it was theirs, of course. It belonged to whoever owned this joint before they had gotten here. But it wasn't like those guys were in a position to get on their cases about it. Were the boys indulging a little too much? Perhaps. But it wasn't like he wasn't doing the same thing. It wasn't like running out of local resources was that much of a problem anyway. It was always the plan to kick out the locals, have a merry time, take whatever they had, move on and do it all over again somewhere else. He was no fool. Settling down was a nice thought, a safe and cushy one at that, but such was not the life of a pirate. He liked the place, sure, but they were bound to ditch it eventually. He figured they still had another month or so to gather their bearings before one of the hiding townspeople managed to get the word out to the Marines somehow. The man rubbed the back of his neck. Someone tossed me a bottle. He yelled at the room. It was rowdy enough for him to have to raise his voice. Are those other guys back yet? I sent them out for a sweep of the town a few hours ago now. Moji, his first mate, slid a bottle of rum to him from across the bar's counter. Sorry, boss. No word yet, the beast tamer answered demurely. Want me to get someone to go look for them? Buggy thought about it, stared at his new beverage and offered his response before taking a swig. Nah, don't care all that much. If they got too drunk and drowned in the ocean or something, just send out another couple of guys in the morning to take their place. I want every house ransacked and every valuable taken, but we still have a little while to get everything done, so there's no rush. Aye, Captain. The doors to the tavern burst inward at that moment. See Captain Buggy. Sir, shouted one of the three men that entered. It was the trio of nincompoops that he sent out earlier to explore the houses by the harbor. He narrowed his eyes. You three are late, he remarked simply, not paying any mind outwardly to their disheveled and clearly injured appearance. Roronoa Zoro. Another one of them coughed out between haggard breaths. The whole tavern quieted after hearing the mention of that one man. Roronoa Zoro is here. Not only that, there's this. Buggy had heard enough. He shot up from his seat so quickly that the chair skidded across the wooden flooring and toppled over. He was furious. A vicious snarl was plastered across his face. What? Should we? Whoever decided that now was a good time to speak was instantly silenced by a floating, severed hand grabbing his mouth. He whimpered. The grip tightened and the pain forced him to his knees. Buggy sighed and extended his arm, releasing the poor man. His hand flew back to him and reattached itself to its proper place. Now wasn't the time for him to be losing his patience and allowing his devil fruit to run rampant on his crew. Find Roronoa and kill him. Let's not waste any time letting him come to us. On one hand, it was a bit distressing to know that a man with such a reputation was coming for his head. Was it for his bounty, his treasures? His map detailing the path to the Grand Line couldn't have remained a secret for long after the Marines had taken brief possession of it. On the other hand, it was quite flattering, in a way. Roronoa must have been fed up with bottom feeding and decided that it was time to hunt bigger game. Not that he'd get very far. A man that was at the top of the East Blue was still just a man in the East Blue. If rumors were to be believed, then the bounty hunter was a swordsman. Against an opponent who could not be cut, well, he'd be in for a surprise. Regardless, he wasn't in the mood to deal with him personally. He'd rather drop a few dozen mooks on the bounty hunter's lap. Sure, maybe a few of them would kick the bucket, but it wasn't like Roronoa, or anyone around here, would be skillful enough to handle that many grown men at once. But alas, it was best to play things safe. The quicker he dealt with the issue, the quicker he could return to drinking in peace. Buggy eyeballed a line splitting the men at the nearby tables into two groups. He pointed out one of those two groups arbitrarily. You three, you guys, you two, you and you. That makes, what, 16 of you? 14, Captain. That's fine. Follow those three back to wherever it was that they ran into Roronoa. It shouldn't take too long. They all seemed eager enough, or at least, no one was willing to disobey his orders. All 14 of them got up and headed to the door. Yes, sir. Buggy took another swig of booze. The group of pirates walked through the desolate streets of Orange Town with a weariness that did not fit the usual exuberance of the crew of Buggy the Clown. Leading the pack was the trio that had already had the misfortune of running into their target. Those behind them were staring into their backs cautiously. They were able to get around, sure, but it was obvious that they still weren't in great shape. They were bleeding quite profusely through the bandages wrapped haphazardly around their persons. One was tapped on the shoulder. Hey, man, since you ran into him and all, this Zoro guy will be fine with this many of us, right? I've heard that he's a demon, and if your sorry state is anything to go by. If the man wanted to hear something encouraging, he was out of luck. The bandaged pirate looked away and gulped. I mean, the longer they trod the beaten path, the more time they were given to second-guess how good of an idea this actually was. They weren't like the captain, they were normal people. Normally they'd be all for fighting whoever the captain told them to. Not that they could really say no, but it was a literal boojum this time. It was hard for them to not second-guess themselves. The tightrope walking fun and bros were among the best fighters in the crew. If even they couldn't handle one guy all at once, then, we're here. The group stopped. They had reached the docks. An empty, unassuming dinghy was all they found. Man, you gotta be a real hard-ass to be sailing the seas in a crappy old thing like that, one of the pirates remarked. He's not here, another one pointed out uselessly. One of the bandaged crew members slammed a fist into his palm. We just gotta go out looking for him, then. This rinky-dink village isn't all that big. I'm sure that. Hey, assholes, get out of the way. They all froze and spun around. Standing before them was a girl. She was young, barely a woman. She was glaring at them with all the hate that she could muster. The first instinct of the three injured pirates was to worry. She was with Roronoa, after all. But she was alone, and some girl was definitely no Roronoa. There was only one of her in 17 of them. Their startled expressions turned into shaky smiles. Or what? One of the pirates challenged. This girl wasn't in a good mood. She pulled a triple staff out from under her skirt and charged at them with a yell. What a joke. Only an idiot would do that. She put up a pretty good fight, though they'd never admit as much, but she was overwhelmed quickly. For every guy she smacked with her staff, she got a boot slamming into her back. It wasn't long before she tripped over her own 2 feet with a yelp. The pirates gathered around and stared down at her sinisterly. Say, who is this chick anyway? The remark of one got the attention of the many. The pirates who hadn't had the misfortune of running into Roronoa and his 2 followers stopped to think about it. No idea. Maybe she's one of the villagers? Nah, they're not that stupid. I don't know, she seems that stupid. All the while, the girl's snarl never left her face. She's one of Roronoa's lackeys, a bandaged pirate shared. I don't see the guy anywhere around here, though. What should we do with her, then? They all thought about it for a moment. Another member of the unlucky trio came to a sudden realization. They were chasing down Roronoa because they had to. But it wasn't like he had any misconceptions of what would happen if they actually found him. Maybe, someone tie her up. We can bring her back to Captain Buggy as a hostage. Some of the other guys weren't too hot on that idea. I don't know. Didn't he tell us to deal with it? We'll have all the leverage this way, the man countered. Captain won't mind dealing with Roronoa himself if we make it easy for him, right? Dimly they realized that what was being suggested may give them a chance to make it out of this alive. Captain shouldn't be too upset if it were clear that they were still trying to deal with the problem in one way or another. They giggled. One of them pulled out a length of rope. The girl tried to struggle, obviously. She bit, she kicked, she yelled. With this many men on top of her, though, there was no way for her to slip loose. They didn't have much difficulty dragging her off. There were footsteps approaching from further out. Absent-mindedly, a few of the pirates turned their heads to see who it was. Those that recognized the pair went bug-eyed. It was Roronoa, Zoro, and those other 2. Hey, is that? Should we, I don't know, go up to them? That's what we're here for and all. I don't know. I mean, we got this girl as our hostage now, right? We can just call them over later. The tied-up girl tried to say something. One of the pirates clasped his hand over her mouth to muffle her voice. Yeah, the pirate agreed. He pointed at the bandaged trio. You three talked to them before. You go tell Roronoa that we've got his buddy while we bring her back to the captain." The rest of the group seemed to be pretty okay with that suggestion while it took the three of them a few seconds to register what he was saying. "Wait, hold on. See you later, then. Good luck." They were ditched before they could even get a word in. Captain Buggy was not happy with what he was seeing. He had asked for Roronoa's head. What did these dimwits come back with? A girl. A girl. What am I looking at? He asked calmly. There was always the chance that he was simply misunderstanding things, after all. Maybe the big, bad Roronoa Zoro was disguised as a little girl. Who was he kidding? He'd teach these fools a lesson, but at the very least they should be allowed to speak their minds first. He was a benevolent captain, after all. "Yes, sir. This is, well, we don't know her name, but she's Roronoa Zoro's friend for sure. He was with him when we ran into him earlier. Her and some other kid. We figured that we'd." "Oh, you figured that what?" "I asked for a dead bounty hunter, not a hostage." His little outburst made his men jump a little. Good. It meant that they knew that his word was law and they had disobeyed that law. Still, their efforts weren't completely wasted. If Roronoa really did come to hunt him with a couple of bounty hunter upstarts, then it would be a stain on his image to let them die here. Supposedly, while he didn't appreciate his crew trying to use him to clean up the mess that he was trying to use them to clean up, he supposed he didn't mind all that much in this instance. He smirked and walked up to his new captive. The tavern was quiet. The only sound that could be heard was that of the floor creaking under the weight of his boots as he drew closer. He grabbed the girl by the chin and lifted her head up. She grimaced and looked away. He chuckled. "Quite the looker, aren't ya? Don't worry, girlie. I won't bite. Say, you're here with Roronoa, aren't you? He'll come for you, won't he?" She wasn't inclined to speak. That was fine. She'd come around eventually. Buggy tapped his chin for a moment before his lips tugged at his cheeks. He rubbed two fingers together. "You know, if only you were a little more cooperative, I wouldn't mind sharing some of my treasure with you. Some give and take, if you will." She immediately perked up. "Treasure?" she asked cautiously. He burst out into a fit of laughter. "Iwahaha. Of course not, you idiot. Did she know about the map? Maybe not. Who could say what Roronoa's intentions were? Maybe he really was after his head and nothing more. Still, he knew the look in this woman's eye. She was like him. Money made the world go round and she understood that. He didn't hate people like her. Buggy sighed. "Look, lassie, just tell me where Roronoa is. Be cooperative and I won't even kill ya." She scoffed. "Just forget it. Those guys are probably long gone by now." The way that some of his crew members reacted to that was a little off. Strange. Nonetheless, you're saying they've already left. Why bother coming here at all, then? The second the question left his mouth, he cursed. "Someone call the men on the ship. Check the treasury. I want every single coin accounted for." Could Roronoa have robbed him from right under his nose? Was that girl just a decoy? If so, he respected the move just as much as he despised that man with every fiber of his being. He'd hunt down that flashy bastard till the day he... "Sir, nothing's missing from our stash." One of his men interrupted his thoughts. He had a den mushy in hand. "Seriously? Then what in the hell?" Crash. The doors were kicked in so hard that they flew right off the hinges. No one could help but look towards the entrance. Two men and a boy were standing there. A lanky man with a straw hat, a short, chubby kid, and a young green-haired man. 3 swords were strapped to his waist. Buggy grinned viciously. Roronoa Zoro. Nami would be the first to admit that she had messed up. She got angry earlier. Much angrier than she should have. It wasn't even Luffy's fault. It's just, she sighed. It sucked to see places like this. It was a reminder that no matter how much she suffered at the hands of pirates, her people weren't alone in their suffering. Kakoyasi village wasn't the first village to be taken over by a pirate, and it certainly wouldn't be the last. For every pirate that roamed free on this earth, there was a village just waiting to be ruined. Luffy just didn't get that. He was obviously sheltered. He never had to deal with real pirates like she did. Sure, he was strong thanks to that devil fruit, but the strength of a human was only impressive as long as humans were all that you had to compare yourself to. When she got back to the docks and saw all those pirates hanging around, she lost it. She knew her own strength. Normally, when outnumbered like that, she would fight to sneak away. That was what she always did. That was how she stayed alive. She needed an outlet for her anger. And at the time, that's what those guys felt like. For that short-lived moment, that anger made her forget that she was weak. She was reminded of that promptly. She had been tied up and brought to the boss, Buggy the Clown. He was just as bad as she thought he would be. Those guys that Zoro beat up must have come back to tell him that a bounty hunter was in his town. It would have been easy enough to assume that the reason was to act on his responsibilities as a bounty hunter and chase the clown's bounty. But what he didn't know was that Zoro wasn't much of a bounty hunter anymore. She didn't have any incentive to correct that misconception. The pirate captain got into interrogating her right away. He was willing to pretend that he'd cut her a deal, even bribing her with money. Normally, she'd play along. She would get in the pirates' good graces, offer to join their crew, even, but she just wasn't in the mood right now. She couldn't muster the energy to fake a desire to be a vile piece of human garbage. He asked about Zoro. Just forget it. Those guys are probably long gone by now. There was no reason for them to stay. The only reason why they were here was that she lied. She told them that there was a marine base on this island, but there wasn't. They didn't seem too hung up on her betrayal. Thankfully, with any luck, they had already moved on and Kobe would lead them properly. He might have been a kid, but at least he seemed competent. They were in good hands. Unfortunately, Buggy misunderstood her. A murderous look crossed his face and she wondered if this would be the place where she died. For all of a few seconds, the pirates were scrambling. When they discovered that they misunderstood the situation, however, the panic was replaced with confusion. And then the doors were kicked in. So this was where the clown pirate guys were hanging out. I looked at the 3 shivering weirdos that led us here. I pointed at the door silently and they started nodding really fast. I hummed with a slight frown on my face. Right, Zoro, Kobe, let's go get Nami now. Zoro was standing beside me quietly. Wait, Kobe squealed. Let's think about this a little. We're about to jump straight into the beast's maw here. Shouldn't we have a plan or something? You're free to wait here, Zoro told him. I was done waiting. I didn't get strong just to be slowed down by some weakling in the East Blue. If I let someone like this bother me, then I was better off just giving up now. No chance I'd let that happen. Without thinking about it anymore, I kicked the door. There were a bunch of funny-looking pirates inside. I thought so. I didn't want to believe it when I didn't hear any music coming from outside. But this was the worst possible outcome. These guys were barely clowns at all. Just looking weird and wearing funny clothes wasn't enough. Where were the accordions, the juggling balls, the elephants, that guy was drinking booze on a unicycle. He got a pass. Him and I could see Nami tied to a chair near the bar with the clowniest clown guy standing over her. He had the big red nose and the makeup and everything, so he got a pass too. He smirked at us. "We're no Zoro," he said slowly. I looked back at Zoro for a second before looking at the clown guy again. Seriously, I couldn't get over his nose. I gave him a thumbs up and nodded slowly. Nice. Everyone was super quiet all of a sudden. They were all looking at each other like they didn't know what I was talking about. "Oh, Luffy," Nami stuttered. "You guys, why are you?" I made grabby hands at the clown guy. "Can I honk your nose?" He blinked. Sure, if you." He trailed off. His wide-eyed look turned into a really, really angry one. "Wait, of course not, you brat. Who the hell do you think you are? Do you have a death wish or something?" Red Nose was yelling at me. I tilted my head. Red Nose's frown got deeper, but the other pirates were all smiling now for some reason. "Captain's angry. It's over for you now," one of them shouted at us. Kobe's knees were knocking together, but I was confused and didn't know what the big deal was. Zoro was keeping a straight face, so he was useless too. I heard Nami gasp. "Look out," she screamed. A hand with 3 knives held between the fingers shot out at me. Just the hand. My jaw dropped. Wah. I caught the hand just in time and sighed. I wasn't holding onto it all that hard, so I wasn't able to do anything when it flew back and attached itself to Red Nose. "Captain ate the devil's fruit," one of the pirates said. "Tough luck, you bozos. A devil fruit. That made sense." Red Nose grunted and shook his hand. "I didn't expect you to catch my hand," he muttered. "I've got no idea who you are. Are you and Roronoa partners or something?" Zoro smirked but didn't say anything. I ignored Red Nose and started walking up to Nami. "Hey, Nami, we've come to save you. Let's go." She had a pretty panicked look on her face. "What? Leave? Get out of here, dumbass. Didn't you see? This pirate has a devil fruit too. This won't be the fight you're expecting it to be." A bunch of limbs with knives stuck to them suddenly started flying at me from all angles. It was easy enough to dodge them all, but it still caught me by surprise a little bit. I think Kobe was more freaked out about it than I was. Strangely enough, Zoro still hadn't budged. He was just standing there with crossed arms. "You're not too shabby, kid. How come I've never heard of you?" Red Nose asked me. His head was just floating in the air on its own, which was sort of creepy but also sort of cool. I wish my head could do that. Actually, maybe not. Nami tried to kick me when I walked close to her. "Are you even listening? I told you to piss off. I don't need your help." "Okay," I answered. I quickly spun on my heel and hopped forward. I grabbed Red Nose's head before he could do anything. I could feel him exhale sharply against the palm of my hand when I gripped his face tightly and tossed it straight to the ground. The floor cratered and the tavern fell silent. The pirate guys were staring at me with their jaws hanging at their feet. Slowly, all the floating limbs came back together and made a single, whole big nose. "I let it happen. Did you see that?" whispered one of the pirates a little too loudly. I couldn't even see him move. "Is he even human?" Zoro's smile got wider. He finally spoke. "Your captain isn't the only one who ate a devil fruit." The pirates reacted to that right away. "This kid ate one too." "Man, is the captain gonna be okay? He seems pretty strong." Shut up. Buggy snapped at them before looking at me. He seemed pretty angry earlier, but now he was dead serious. Devil fruit my ass. I know a devil fruit's power when I see one, and that's not it. Nami froze. I didn't look behind me, but I couldn't hear Zoro or Kobe saying anything. Well, what? I don't understand. What are you? She mumbled before trailing off. Man, everyone's mood was all over the place and I couldn't keep up. I was getting kind of annoyed cause it felt like I was missing out on what these guys were actually talking about. I slammed my fists together. Never mind all that. I shouted, Zoro, let's get rid of these, huh? Your bounty has been reevaluated. Destruction of world government property, plus 5,000,000. Defeated enemies, plus 900. Defeated enemies, plus 100. Infamy, plus 150,000,000. Total, 156,000,000. You now have a bounty. Huh, my bounty was way bigger than this guy's. I should tell him. Hey, big nose, guess what? So it turns out that I have a bounty and it's Captain Smoker, sir. The bounties are in. The large Marine officer was seated comfortably in his chair, his legs propped onto his desk and his free hand holding 2 lit cigars to his lips. He paid no more than cursory attention to his subordinate who had just walked in. He was preoccupied by the paper held at a hand's width from his face. Yeah, I figured those would get to me soon. Just put him on my desk. The Marine did as he was asked before bowing respectfully and leaving the room. A moment later, Smoker let out a sigh. If this order from headquarters was anything to go by, somewhere in that pile was a bounty poster belonging to a certain East Blue pirate worth 156 million belly. A large number, certainly, but they were assuring him that the number wasn't indicative of the threat that the man posed to the world government. The higher-ups wanted him to leave his post and hunt this pirate down. He had problems with that, obviously. He knew why he was here and so did they. He was the only thing keeping pirates out of the Grand Line. In all the years that he'd been stationed at Logtown, not a single criminal had been able to slip by him. For him to do as he was asked, that spotless record would have to be abandoned. There was no doubt in his mind that all kinds of terrible people would take advantage of that window of opportunity and carry on with their crimes without facing punishment. The very thought made him sick to his stomach. On the other hand, he was told that this pirate was not someone to be underestimated. Was he deserving of a bounty that would befit being the equivalent of a government-sanctioned pirate? Absolutely not. But he had it on good authority that he was the only Marine nearby that would be capable of arresting him without taking too much of a risk. For that reason alone, he couldn't turn this down. He sighed and dropped his feet back onto the ground. What a bother. It was time to go find Tashigi, then. If he was going to be gone for the next while, it'd be up to her to look after the base and keep things in order. It would almost certainly go poorly, but he would much rather pretend to be oblivious than spend the entire voyage worrying about how the Master Chief Petty Officer would find a way to screw something up. And so, he left his office to go look for her. The journey wasn't a long one. The woman was quite easy to find. She was out in the courtyard with a few of the other men and... Was that a dog? Hey, Tashigi. The Marines didn't even realize that he was there. They were all too occupied with that strange dog. Tashigi in particular was quite taken with the animal. She was sitting cross-legged in front of it with a bunch of playing cards laid out between them. Was that idiot pretending to play blackjack with a dog? Tashigi, he repeated. Again, no one could hear him. The other Marines were gathered around the woman and the dog, cheering for them as if they were. Gah, you beat me again. Ha ha ha. Shiro-chan whooped ya. You suck, Officer Tashigi. Tashigi, he said once more, this time a little louder. They all jumped, straightened their backs and saluted. As sir, he could only sigh. Tashigi, what the hell is that thing? He asked flatly. She beamed at him. This is Shiro-chan, Captain. He chewed on his cigars. Shiro-chan, huh. The dog was pretty big. It was more of a large wolf, actually. He could understand where the name came from. The thing was almost pure white. Were those horns on its? No, he wouldn't ask. It wasn't worth it. It was sitting down and staring at him with wide, happy eyes. Its tail wagged idly behind its back. Smoker soullessly stared right back at it. His second-in-command nodded. Yeah, we were teaching her how to play card games. She's pretty good at them. Woman, I promise you that animal has not learned any card game and it did not actually beat you at poker. Those thoughts were not shared aloud, of course. What's Shiro-chan doing here, exactly? Another Marine answered. We think he's from one of those circus acts that pass through town every few weeks. Probably got separated. I'm sure he'll be off whenever they come around again. In the meantime, he's been hanging with us. Shiro-chan has been a real help around the base, running errands, fetching supplies. He's super smart. Another Marine, a woman, propped her fists on her hips and frowned. Hey, Shiro-chan is obviously a girl. What? No way. He's a boy dog for sure. No, Shiro-chan is too smart to be a boy. Smoker's grimace was pronounced. He looked at Tashigi tiredly. Are they serious? The Master Chief Petty Officer sighed. I know. She's a girl without a doubt, but they've been on about this since forever. I wish Shiro-chan would just let us check, but she doesn't let us get too close. Are you people a bunch of little kids? Forget it, he grumbled. Play with your dog later. We need to discuss arrangements for looking after the base. Tashigi blinked. Arrangements? Are you going somewhere, Captain? He was only here to speak with Tashigi, but the others were gathering around to listen in. That was fine, he supposed. I'll be taking a few dozen men with me to chase down some upstart ruffian that's been causing the Navy some issues recently. A kid named Monkey D. Luffy. You'll be seeing his bounty posters soon, I'm sure. I shouldn't be gone for too long, but you'll need to stay back to look after things. Tashigi looked nervous at the thought. Understandable. She hasn't ever been left to lead a large group on her own before. Oh well, live and learn, as they said. When will you be leaving, Captain? This evening. Don't worry, I'll get you sorted out before then. In the meantime, do something about the dog. There was an audible gasp from most of the crowd. Smoker wanted to bury his face in his palms. But sir, why can't we keep Shiro-chan? Shiro-chan is the best. Shiro-chan doesn't get in the way, honest. He cracked. Damn it. Fine, keep the dog. They cheered as if he'd given them the week off or something. Bunch of weirdos, that lot. As he made his way back to his office, Smoker didn't notice the way that Shiro-chan's eyes were following his back with a laser-like focus. Your bounty has been reevaluated. Total 156,000,000. You now have a bounty. 1, 2, 3. There were a lot of zeros. Like, a lot of zeros. I'd seen a few bounty posters of other East Blue pirates before, and I'd never seen a bounty with this many zeros before. This bounty was huge. I was just that impressive, I guess. I puffed out my chest and grinned. Hey, Big Nose. Big Nose didn't like it when I called him Big Nose. He got angry again right away, so I made sure to talk fast. Guess what? So it turns out that I have a bounty and it's way bigger than yours for sure. He made a serious face. Everyone was looking at me. Even Nami, Kobe, and Zoro. Heh. Of all the bounty posters that I've seen, mine was the biggest by far. Big Nose was just like those other guys, right? It should surprise him too. I wiped the underside of my nose with a finger and my grin got wider. 156,000 berry. I waited for them to react. Big Nose's crew burst out laughing. Hey, I didn't get what was so funny. I looked over to Zoro, Kobe, and Nami, but they weren't very helpful. They looked pretty lost. Weren't they paying attention? My eyes snapped back to Big Nose. He threw his hand that was holding knives at me but pulled it back when I reached out to grab it. He was the only guy on his crew that wasn't laughing. He looked pretty angry, actually. Was he jealous? Shitty brat. You think I'd believe that? Huh? Now I got angry. What? You think I'm lying? That's my bounty. I'm serious. He didn't answer. Instead, he tried to skewer me with his knives again. His body parts were flying all over the place. His crew started cheering him on. That was cool, yeah. Wait, was he messing around right now? Was that why he was doing all this crazy wacky stuff? I clenched my teeth. Phew, I'll show you. I stepped forward. Big Nose's eyes went wide. Huh? I punched him square in the face before he had the chance to react and sent him tumbling straight into the bar behind him. All the clown pirate guys that forgot that we were fighting suddenly remembered that that was what we were doing and rushed at me. They didn't get very far. Oni, Jiri, a bunch of them got cut down right away. Zoro was standing in front of me with all three swords out. Don't worry about these guys, Captain. Leave them to me. I grinned. The pirates looked nervous all of a sudden. Oi, did Roronoa just call that kid Captain? He's kind of, like, really strong, isn't he? I thought he said his bounty was only. Never mind that. I don't have a good feeling about this kid, man. The guy on a unicycle and a guy dressed like a mouse pushed their way past the other clown pirate guys and stared Zoro down. My crewmate looked confident enough, though, so I'd just leave it to him. MK, good luck, Zoro. One of the pirates took out a gun and shot at me. I didn't bother moving. Zoro swatted it away. So he was serious about not letting these guys bother me, then? Good. Nah, Nami-san, please be still. I was about to go over to where I knocked Big Nose into the counter and back. But Kobe's cries caught my attention. He was fiddling with the ropes that were keeping Nami tied to that chair. I waved at them. Oh, hey, sorry Nami. I forgot that you were there. All the pirate guys suddenly turned to her and Kobe. They had scared looks on their faces. Nami screeched. You idiot. Don't bring their attention over here. Sorry, HM. Big Nose still wasn't moving. I had a bit of time, right? I looked over my shoulder to see that Zoro was still having a pretty easy time keeping all those guys distracted at once. I nodded to myself and walked over to Kobe and Nami. Here, I said. Let me help. I grabbed the knot from Kobe before he could do anything. Luffy-san, you. I made it worse. How did you manage that? Nami complained. She kept trying to headbutt me away. Just break the damn chair. I heard Zoro shout. Zoro was smart. If it was just Nami and Kobe and me trying to figure stuff out, we wouldn't get very far. I reached over Nami's back. grabbed the chair and pulled it apart. Nami squeaked and fell onto her butt. "You okay?" I asked. She just sat there for a second. "Hey, about what Buggy was saying about your devil fruit. Big Nose is probably gonna get up soon. Talk to you later." I ran off. Nami felt a strong and immediate desire to throttle Luffy when he totally ignored her and walked away mid-sentence. But she suppressed it in favor of focusing on the larger issue at hand. That issue being that they were in the hideout of a nefarious pirate crew. And the only thing standing between her and Kobe and getting chopped into a million pieces was a guy with enough swords to make someone think that he was compensating for something. She would have loved to stop and think about the implications of Luffy's superhuman strength having nothing to do with the devil fruit that he ate. But for the moment, surviving was more important. She looked at Kobe. He was just as freaked out as she was. No, more so. He was traveling with them, but she kept forgetting that he was just a kid. He didn't want to be out here with a bunch of pirates. He was with them because he had to be, just like her. And yet, until now, he had been taking it all like a champ. Much better than how she was taking it, evidently. She got lost in her own thoughts. It was something that was allowed to her by the efforts of the two men fighting off. A bullet flew past Kobe's ear. He started to stammer. What? Nami tried to follow the trajectory of the bullet with her eyes. Two of Buggy's goons were trudging toward them with creepy grins on their faces. She whipped her head toward Zoro. "Hey," she yelled. "You missed some." The swordsman paused, blades locked with the tall man in the unicycle and a man dressed like an animal. "Huh?" He drawled with disinterest clear in his tone. "How's that my problem?" A pit formed in her gut. "What do you mean?" He pushed the pirates off of him with relative ease, and turned around as he did so. He faced the two of them with a smile. "My job is to protect my captain. If some of these guys decide to go after you instead, well, that's on you, isn't it?" A cold sweat ran down her spine. He didn't really mean that, did he? Was this because of how she tried to swindle them? For a moment, she thought she saw Arlong's mocking sneer instead of Zoro's disinterested scowl. It was. Of course it was. That Luffy kid was nice and all, but in the end, a pirate was a pirate. It was her own fault for letting herself get swept along until now. She was stupid for having thought any better of them, if even for a short while. The clowns that Zoro was fighting also heard what he said, unfortunately. One by one, they trickled past him. As he said, he did nothing to stop them. He offered a parting word of advice. "Get out of here. A battlefield is no place for someone like you." Everything was going horribly. Her immediate reaction was to get angry. Someone like me. She was angry. She was angry at him. She was angry at herself. And she was angry at these pirates being pirates. Who was this? This asshole to tell her what she could or couldn't do. Did he think that she was too weak to make it out of this in one piece? Was that what he was banking on? She didn't get this far by getting lucky. She could handle a few mooks just fine. And then she looked at Kobe. He was still stiff as a board. His tiny body was trembling uncontrollably. He could do nothing but wait for his fate to come to him. For all that she told herself that she could deal with these guys, he could not. That was just how the world worked. There were things that normal people could do and things that they couldn't. They could have dreams, aspirations, goals, but what they wanted never mattered to any sort of higher being and never would. It sucked. It sucked a lot. She could attest to that with first-hand experience to show for it. She grabbed Kobe's hand. "Let's go," she whispered. Not giving him a chance to react, she pulled him along. The pirates gave chase, but she wasn't worried. Even with Kobe dragging her down, she was confident in her ability to make a getaway. Now was not the time to be full of herself. That was a good way to make sure that things didn't go your way. What she wanted was to keep Kobe and herself safe, not prove Zoro wrong. If she let Kobe die because of some misconstrued desire to prove herself to these scum, then she might as well have stopped pretending to be better than the lot of them right then and there. Arlong had spent the better part of the past decade trying to get her to cave on that front. It would have been so easy to tell everyone precious to her that she wasn't actually one of his goons, to give it all up and accept her fate with the rest of them. Oh, how he would have loved that. They could all eat shit for all she cared. Arlong and these guys both. They burst through the doors of the bar. She could have sworn that there were less pirates following her than there were an instant before. But the fact that there were pirates following her at all meant that she didn't have the luxury to stop and think about it for too long. Her eyes moved frantically from left to right, trying to find. "There," she exclaimed, pulling Kobe along with her through an alleyway between two buildings. Anything was better than trying to run away from someone on an open street. That was just inviting them to shoot you in the back. Thankfully, it wasn't a dead end. Though they were unable to lose the pirates, there were enough twists and turns to keep them at bay. "You can't run forever, girlie." Kobe's labored breaths gave the pirates' words more weight than she would have liked. Nami cursed under her breath. She looked over her shoulder one more time. There were two pirates following her that she could see. Both men, both pretty large compared to her. Her fingers traced the hem of her skirt and touched the bare metal of her three-section staff. One more corner. They would run around the next corner and she would take out her weapon. Hopefully, she'd be able to nail them in the head before they realized what had happened. When they did turn that corner, however, she did not expect to be met face to face with a short old man wearing pots and pans tied to his body as what seemed to be armor. She noticed the shotgun in his hands. Her eyes widened, but she couldn't stop herself. Both she and Kobe could only watch themselves helplessly as they barreled toward him. The old man let them stumble straight past him. He lifted his firearm and tensed. Bang! Right as the pirates turned the corner, a spray of bullets hit them at point-blank range. They dropped like rocks. Kobe's chest was definitely heaving as heavily as hers was. She could hear it. They both just stood there for a second, staring at the back of the old man who had saved them. He looked over his head and his stern eyes met Nami's. She was as still as a statue. Then he smiled. "Are you two all right?" In sync, a sharp exhale of relief escaped them. Hua, so that's how it is." The old man laughed and slapped her on the back. The slaps were pretty hard. She lurched forward and winced. Kobe, who was a little ways away being fretted over by a pair of middle-aged women, smiled at her sheepishly. "Those bastards, chasing around a pair of unsuspecting travelers like yourselves. Being cornered by a bunch of pirates was probably the last thing you thought would be waiting for you when you docked on our little island. You have nothing to do with this. For what it's worth, I'm sorry." Kobe scratched the back of his head. Nami threw up her hands and waved them in front of the man. No, it's no worry. We've chalked it up to bad luck. If anything, we should be thanking you for being there at the time." Nami looked at the group gathered around the small, out-of-the-way shack that they'd been brought to. Men, women, and children, all visibly worn thin from the trials that they'd been forced to face by the hands of Buggy the Clown. As battered as they were, there was still fight in their eyes, a desire to be free. It was something that she could respect. "Lass, do you have a boat?" She blinked. A pause. "I do. Why do you ask?" Two firm hands were placed on her shoulders. The old man's abrupt movements caused his makeshift armor to jingle. "Get out of here while you still can. Things are about to get really ugly." She had a bad feeling about this. Suddenly, she was forced to reevaluate her impression of the villagers. There was fight in their eyes, but there was more than that too. There was desperation. They were scared, and still they were all gathered here for a reason. Considering how they were all brandishing miscellaneous sharp objects and other such makeshift weapons, it was clear to her that they were looking for a fight. At best, it would be a suicide mission. Kobe shared the sentiment, obviously. "Wait," shouted the kid, breaking free from the two ladies that were fretting over him. He ran up to the old man and stood as tall as he could. "Whatever it is that you think you're about to do, please reconsider. Pirates aren't a bunch that you should be taking lightly. Have you perhaps tried calling the—" "Of course we've called the Marines, boy," the man answered tiredly. "There's nothing that they're willing to do. We sent word of our situation weeks ago. Not a single ship has sailed our way." A chilling thought crossed Nami's mind. The closest Marine base. That would have been Shell's town, right? There's no way that someone as despicable as the captain of that place would have had any desire to help them out of a sense of duty. If all of this happened a little later, after Luffy took care of that guy. No, it didn't make sense to dwell on that. What was done was done. The old man turned his back to them. "I'm the mayor of this town. I shoulder a great responsibility. And that responsibility is the safety and well-being of everyone that calls Orange Town their home. They've taken everything from us. Our homes, our wealth, our food. We won't survive another month at this rate. I've thought this through already, consequences and all." A fishman's muzzle popped into her mind, its lips pulled taut with rows of sharp, pearly whites beating down at her mockingly as though she were nothing more than a trapped animal. "Yes," she empathized. "Please, listen to me. I didn't mention it before, but right now there's another group of pirates fighting Buggy the Clown and his men. She cut herself off and rethought her phrasing. "They'll beat them." The mayor clicked his tongue. The nearby villagers didn't sound too convinced either. "Another pirate crew. Replacing one tumor with another won't do us any good." She shook her head. "The other crew won't do anything. I mean, they wouldn't have a reason to take her word for it. They're a group of two. They wouldn't have the manpower to take over an island even if they wanted to. 2 men. They don't stand a chance." Then he shot back dismissively. He had a point. No matter how you twisted it, they were grossly outnumbered. And they weren't any sort of advantaged species like fishmen. It was stupid to even think that they would come out the other end victorious. It betrayed common sense. Even she wasn't totally convinced. But after seeing everything that Luffy had done, a small part of her couldn't help but believe that he had a chance, even up against another man who had eaten a devil fruit. Though she only saw a small part of the confrontation between them, things had been going Luffy's way, mostly. Right, even if it wasn't true, she had to stick with that story. These people were civilians who probably hadn't ever gotten into anything more serious than a bar fight. If she could make them believe that they didn't have to get involved, then Kobe looked like he was about to say something, but she shot him a pointed look to shut him up. Was he going to try to spout some bullshit about Luffy and Zoro being good pirates? The validity of that opinion was in contention, to be sure, but these people wouldn't buy it regardless. Trying to push that agenda would do nothing but make these people wonder if she and the kid weren't pirates as well. They're strong, she affirmed. Just wait it out a little longer. You don't have anything to lose, right? One of those crews is going to win. At the very least, you don't gain anything from trying to fight both of them at once, right? The mayor had a contemplative look on his face. The other villagers, who up till now had been psyching themselves up for what was probably going to be a suicidal bloodbath, looked to each other uncertainly. This was progress. No, the mayor decided. Our treasury and food stocks have both been taken over by Buggy. If those other pirates do beat him, even if they don't want anything else from us, those provisions will surely be ransacked. We'll be left with nothing. Dying now or dying later. It'll all be the same. Damn it, was this old bastard even thinking straight? Of course not. He'd already built himself up to this moment. So had everyone else. Short of knocking them all out, nothing could be done. Not that she had the means to do that. Nami cursed under her breath. How about this? She began to speak once more, voice raised enough for everyone to hear. I'm pretty light on my feet. How about I go steal everything back from Buggy while those guys are busy? There was an almost visceral reaction among those present, though no one vocalized that painfully evident objection right away. She understood it perfectly well. She was an outsider. This wasn't her problem. She thought of Genzo, the sheriff of her own village. If a stranger came up to him and offered their aid in a fashion that would risk their life to save his own, surely he'd reject that offer. If people weren't so stubborn, life would be so much easier. Surprisingly, it was Kobe who voiced his concerns first. Nami-san, are you sure? All right. She'd work with this. Nami crossed her arms and did her best to sound like she was talking down to him. Huh? What the hell do you mean, am I sure? I've been robbing pirates blind my whole life. Don't insult me by insinuating that they have any chance of catching me. He looked sufficiently chastised. So did the villagers, for that matter. It took a great deal of effort to keep a smirk off her face. The mayor's shoulders drooped. If you're, of course I'm sure. She spun around and started walking away before anyone could get another word in. Kobe, stay here. This is a job that's easier done alone. I'll be back before you know it. She didn't hear any talk back from him. Hopefully the underlying message of don't let them do anything stupid got through to him. Considering that she had allowed herself to get swept along in the heat moment and stuck her neck out for these random people for reasons that really didn't hold up in her head in retrospect, Nami figured that the current situation wasn't all that bad. For one, as she circled back to ground zero, she came to the realization that there was pretty much no one patrolling the area. Odds were, Buggy's whole crew was busy with Luffy and Zoro. The remaining issue, however, was that she really didn't know where these guys were keeping their treasure and stuff. She was good with this sort of thing usually. Pirates had predictable patterns that made quick extractions pretty easy when they made themselves comfortable somewhere. Everything of value got moved off the ship, with the pirates generally moving their ship itself into dry dock for tarring and repairs, and onto land, usually wherever their new base of operations was located. Unless the previous owners of the bar had installed some sort of trapdoor leading to a secret room, however, that treasure wasn't there. For however hectic the short amount of time she had spent occupying that space might have been, the buildings inside seemed congruent enough with its facade for her to strike off the possibility of hidden rooms. The next place to look would be one of the abandoned houses. Checking those went by pretty quickly. There weren't many houses that were undamaged and even less that were close by. Nothing. At that point, she was pretty stumped. Where else could it be? She didn't have time to meander. They weren't dumb enough to leave everything on their ship, were they? They were. There was no human presence around or on the ship whatsoever, but she still made sure to look around and check for lingering pirates before walking into the vault down on the basement level. It was about what she expected. Gold, jewels, miscellaneous valuables. All pirates were the same. They just grabbed whatever shined. She took the bandana that she kept tied to her leg and wrapped it around her head. There was a pretty large and thick sack of gold nearby. It would do just fine as a way for her to bring the valuables back to the village. She could afford to make a few trips. Probably, hopefully, and man, there was a lot. More than the cumulative wealth of the village before Buggy came here for sure. If she took a good chunk for herself, no one relevant would notice. She paused right before tossing the bag of treasure over her shoulder. A tiny, nondescript chest, maybe a little larger than her forearm, was resting on its side on the floor. She dropped the sack and walked over to the chest, holding it with both hands just in case something fragile was inside. She popped it open. It was a map. She grabbed the frayed sheet of paper and tossed the wooden box to the side. She squinted, trying to figure out what exactly. Nami gasped. A map to the Grand Line. Out of habit, she looked right and left before pocketing it. A moment later, she realized what she did. She had no use for something like this, did she? The Grand Line was way too dangerous. But I could make so much money. She shook her head. Absolutely not. It was a stupid idea. She ignored the fact that at no point did she take that map out of her pocket. Nami got ready to leave the room. As she did, a groan sounded behind her. It was the telltale sound of something very large scraping against nearby objects as it toppled over. She flung her head over her shoulder. It was exactly what she thought it was. A comically large kanabo. One that she didn't notice until now due to its black iron-like appearance melting into the shadows of the walls, pressed against and crushed everything in its path as it traveled straight to the ground. Her eyes widened moments before impact. She dropped what she was carrying and covered her ears. Damn, well, if there was someone on this ship and they didn't know that she was here, they did now. She tried to calm her furiously beating heart. What knocked the thing over? Was the sack of gold holding it up or something? Man, now that she got a good look at it, it really was huge, almost 3 times her size. She couldn't imagine a regular person being able to pick it up. It must have taken quite a few pirates to bring it here. Wait a second, something should be occurring to her right now. That kanabo sparked something in her head for whatever reason, but she couldn't figure out why. Meh, it couldn't have been that important if she couldn't remember. It was time for her to get the hell out of here. Priorities and all that. X, you have defeated. You have been awarded plus 10 EXP. The tavern was quiet now. I heard Zoro sheath his swords. All the pirate guys were lying around, unconscious. The only ones still standing were us two. I stretched my arms over my head and yawned. I paused with my arms in the air. I looked around. Hey, Zoro, where did Nami go? Kobe's gone too. I sent her off to do some self-reflection. Kobe's helping. Oh, okay. My ear twitched. Shink. I jerked my head to the side and lifted my hand to snatch Big Nose's floating arm. I thought I broke both of those already. I turned around and looked down at him. I got him real good. The guy was all bruised and bloody and I really didn't think that he would be able to move this much when I left him on the floor. He was glaring at me, though I really didn't think he had enough energy to do much more than that. I pouted. Do you seriously have a bigger bounty than me? That's pretty strange, right? I mean, I stopped talking halfway through what I was saying. My eyes looked up as far as they could and locked onto the edge of my hat. Hey, Zoro, does the brim of my hat look a bit messed up to you? He walked a bit closer and hummed. Yeah, there's a nick right at the edge. Crash. I sent Big Nose's body parts flying so hard that they broke right through the walls of the place before slamming into the brick walls of the next building over. The guy slumped over, or at least, that's what I thought he did. It was tough to tell because of how he was all over the place. Hey, pull yourself together. I want to talk to you properly. I was angry. Big Nose coughed. Crazy fucking. I found his crotch and stomped on it. He screamed, but I didn't lift my foot until the pain forced him to bring all of his parts back together. He was panting with his mouth open. His head drooped to the side uselessly, though he didn't take his eyes off me. Don't mess with my hat. Buggy's unfocused eyes trailed upward. They were stuck to the top of my head for a few seconds. They widened. He seemed a little more alert. Shanks sent you, didn't he? I froze. I forced myself to relax and crouched down so that I could look at him at eye level. Boy, how do you know Shanks? He didn't answer me. I knew it, he said. You have no business being in the East Blue. You're a New World pirate. This guy knew stuff for sure, but he wasn't making sense. Shanks, New World. I cut myself off. Big Nose passed out. I frowned. Hey, wake, Captain. I stood up properly and looked away from Big Nose. Zoro had a serious look on his face. He was really tense for some reason and he was eyeing me really strangely. He turned his head away. I followed where he was looking. Nami was standing on the other side of the street, hunched over with a really big bag in hand. Her eyes were wide and I could see sweat dripping down her chin. My face was totally blank for a second, but then I put on a big smile. Hey, Nami, where have you been? Hey. I started walking toward her. She wasn't moving. I tilted my head to the side. Something wrong. She twitched. Nami grabbed her arm and looked away. Aren't you mad? I blinked. For what? Oh, was she talking about her plan to ditch us here? I laughed. Yeah, that pissed me off a lot. Nami took a step back. She kept flicking her attention between me and Zoro. But it's okay, though, I continued. It looks like you're okay. I'm glad. I turned on my heel and waved Zoro over. Well, looks like we're done here. Let's go get Kobe. Zoro ambled toward me, one hand resting on the hilt of one of his swords and the other scratching his ear. Nami pulled on my vest to stop me from leaving. Something wrong? I asked. She wouldn't look me in the eye. Her head was turned away. I need help with something. How about we cut a deal? One last time, lend me a hand. I promise it'll be quick. And in exchange, I'll fix your hat. I heard you earlier. You sounded pretty upset that Buggy damaged it. I took a second to process what she said. I went bug-eyed. That's right. Man, I can't go around with my hat like this. Yamato will make fun of me for sure. It was bad enough that I let it get cut when Shanks was relying on me to keep it safe for him. But if Yamato found out that I had been caught off guard in the East Blue of all places, she wouldn't let me live it down either. I could already hear her nagging voice telling me to take this seriously if I thought I could stand a chance against Kaido. Phew. Gingerly, I pulled the hat off my head and handed it to her. Thanks, I said. What do I gotta do? She took the hat and popped it right back on my head. I don't have anything to fix it with right now, dummy. For now, follow me back to Buggy's ship. He has a bunch of the villagers' stuff and I told them I'd bring it all back to them. I stared at her for a moment. She ran into the villagers. When was this? It must have been when Zoro said she went to go do thinking or whatever. Right. I didn't even know that they were still around. They must have been having a pretty tough time. I looked to Zoro to see if he was thinking what I was thinking, but it didn't look like he was paying attention. I think I understand, I told Nami. You act all mean, but you're actually nice, right? Her face was red. What the hell are you talking? Never mind. Just follow me to the ship, okay? It's a lot of stuff, and I'm not sure if I can grab all of it on my own at once. Okay, I agreed easily. Gotta grab something first, though. She and Zoro stared at me curiously as I walked back to where Big Nose was lying like a sack of potatoes. He had a ponytail hanging off the back of his head. Convenient. Hey, Zoro, could you get this for me? I pulled him up a little and he kind of just hung there. Nami crossed her arms. What do you mean? Sure. Shink. Eek. I brought Big Nose's unconscious, disembodied head up to eye level and nodded to myself. Yeah, that's pretty creepy. Nami grabbed her chest and leaned forward. You scared the crap out of me. What do you need that for? I have questions that he hasn't answered yet, so he's gotta answer them. Yeah. She never stopped staring at the head until we got to where we were going. You have found. Would you like to transfer these items to your inventory? Yes, no. There were stars in my eyes. I heard Zoro whistle behind me. An actual pirate's treasure. There was so much of it. Yamato would be so angry if she found out that I found one of these before she did. So we just gotta bring all of this back to the villagers, I asked. Nami crossed her arms in front of her. No, only what I tell you to bring. The rest is, they don't need all of it. Here, hold this bag. I'll put stuff in it. You carry it. No, okay. Zoro and I waited for Nami to figure out what we were taking back to the village with us. Since it was really boring to wait without doing anything, I swiveled my head around and looked around the room for anything interesting. My head stopped moving. I dropped the sack in Big Nose's head. Zoro frowned at me. Oi, what are you? He trailed off. He watched me walk away in a trance toward the giant club thing lying flat in the middle of the room. Nami noticed what was going on. Oh, that, she said. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about either. Buggy seemed to be hanging onto it for some reason. Maybe you can ask him why once he wakes up. I think I know, Zoro muttered. You sense it too, don't you, Captain? The aura surrounding that thing. It's not normal. Of course I could sense it. I knew exactly what this was. It's Takeru, I told them. Nami crossed her arms. Takeru, she repeated. Who's that? They didn't get it. I picked Takeru up and held it over my shoulder. I ignored the choking and gasping noises from behind me. Takeru is this thing. Yamato's weapon. That thing's huge. Nami commented uselessly. Of course it was huge. That Yamato person. Just how strong is she? Zoro asked me. The tone of his voice made it sound like he wasn't all there right now. How strong was Yamato? I looked deep into Zoro's eyes. My smile was showing lots of teeth. Super duper strong. Do you think Buggy might have taken it from her? Nami asked. Not a chance. I shot that idea down right away. Big Nose is a weakling. She definitely lost it when our dinghy got caught in that whirlpool that separated us. Whirlpool. Nami screamed. Zoro scratched his chin. I'm surprised anyone found it. Something that heavy must have dropped straight to the bottom of the ocean. Forget that, interrupted Nami. You were hauling that thing around in a dinghy. How did you even float? I thought about my answer for a second. Right. I slammed my fist into the palm of my opposite hand. It was a really strong dinghy. That's not how boats work. Be serious. The woman's got a point, though, Zoro muttered. We're gonna want to take that thing back to your friend, right? We'll need a vessel that can actually carry it. I mean, we can just use the boat that we were. No. I crossed my arms and closed my eyes. Something came to me. I know. Let's take Big Nose's ship. Zoro scratched his chin. I mean, sure, why not? It's not like he's using it. Nami raised a brow at us. And do either of you actually know how to make it go anywhere? It's not a rowboat, you know. About that. I marched up to Nami and grabbed her by the arms. She let out a high-pitched squeak that lasted for half a second. Nami, you're funny. Join my crew. What do you mean I'm funny, you jerk? She pulled away. I chuckled and let her go. Nami looked like she wanted to say something. Or was it that she didn't know what to say? I didn't know. I waited. Zoro must have been waiting too. He was pretty quiet, watching us. Drop it for now, will you? Let's get those villagers back on track. First, Tashishi. Sure thing. Leave that head here. What? I just thought. Leave it. Okay. Nami took us to a place that was really out of the way. I thought there would be no one here at first, but slowly, one person at a time, a whole crowd appeared in front of us. A town's worth of people, probably. They were looking at us nervously. Nami-san, Zoro-san, Luffy-san. Kobe ran up to us. I waved at him happily. Kobe, how are you? I heard that you were helping Nami. He didn't really seem to understand what I was talking about, but he didn't think too hard about it. Yeah, well, that aside, what happened to Buggy? Zoro grinned. I flexed my arm. I took his head. Everyone in the crowd started whispering to each other. A strange old man walked to the front of the group with a big frown on his face. Lass, who might your friends be? She was looking at me with a complicated look on her face. We probably wanted to move things along so that we could give these people their stuff, so I decided to help her with her words. We're pirates. Zoro's eyes widened for a second, then he laughed. Nami punched me in the shoulder over and over again. It didn't hurt, but she was making a scary face. Stop doing that. You did it again. Why did you do it again? There was a gun pointed at my head. Eek, I heard Kobe shout. A bunch of guys were grabbing him to stop him from moving. You betrayed our trust, girl. The old man shouted. You're with these fellas, ain't ya? You lot just wanted to keep all the wealth for yourselves. I blinked and turned to Nami. What's going on? I asked. Wait a second. She begged. Using what strength she had, she dragged the 2 bags that Zoro and I brought and left them where everyone could see them. Here, it's what Buggy took from you. We came here to give it back like I said I would. The old man's arm was shaky. Slowly the gun was lowered. You're serious? Are you really pirates? The people holding Kobe in place let him go. He ran up to us. Yuha, I answered, nodding my head. The old man closed his eyes and bowed his head. I'm sorry. The fact of the matter is that you've helped us, pirates or not. I'm thankful. We're thankful. There's nothing much that we have to offer, I'm afraid. But if you wish. Nah, we don't need anything. Nami answered, smiling. I wish we could stay to help you rebuild, but we have places to be. The old man sighed. I could hear the cheers of relief from all the people behind him. It's no issue at all. I wish you good luck in your travels, pirates. Coo, coo, coo. We all looked up. A bird was flying in circles overhead. A really recognizable one, too. It was wearing its own uniform and seemed to be carrying a package. Nami lifted her arm, a perch for the bird to land. The news coo. Has it been coming often? The old man seemed caught off guard. Not once since that pirate crew came here. Maybe because they're gone, it thinks it's safe again. Nami tossed it a small coin. The bird dropped a newspaper and it flew off. Here, she said, giving the paper a once-over as she brought it over to the old man. After being left in the dark for so long. This one's on me. You should. She didn't even finish her sentence. Seemingly out of nowhere, she tore off the first page of the paper and held it in a balled fist. Nami stopped moving. It was kind of worrying. Nami, I called out to her carefully. I turned to Zoro and Kobe, but they didn't seem to know what was going on either. Hey, Luffy, she started in a soft voice. How about we cut a deal? Something was off. What did she see in that paper? Sure, I answered. I didn't know what else to say. To me, she didn't look like the Nami that I knew at all right now. It was her eyes. If even for just a second, it felt like she was staring at me more intensely than she ever had before. I didn't know how to describe it. She just wasn't all there. She was off in her own head thinking about something. I just didn't know what. I'll be your navigator. In exchange, I want you to do something for me. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification. So when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.